As they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports several states said on Thursday they would move forward with a legal challenge to a revised executive order by President Donald Trump this week that temporarily bars the admission of refugees and some travelers from a group of Muslim-majority countries. The new travel ban, which is set to take effect on March 16th, changed and replaced a more sweeping ban issued on January 27th that caused chaos and protest at airports. The first order was hit by more than 24 lawsuits, including a challenge brought by Washington State and joined by Minnesota. In response to Washington's suit, U.S. District Judge James Robart in Seattle ordered an emergency halt to the policy last month. That ruling was upheld by an appeals court in San Francisco. Washington State Attorney General Robert Ferguson said on Thursday he planned to ask Robart to confirm his ruling would also apply to Trump's revised order, which would halt it from being implemented. Ferguson told a news conference the new order harmed a smaller group of individuals, but that would not affect the state's ability to challenge it in court. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
After vetting the 37-year-old for factors such as looks, screen presence, and film credits, Hollywood insiders unanimously agreed this week that area man Dennis Kiernan lacks the sheer star power necessary to carry a major motion picture. Industry experts spoke to reporters today about the Charlottesville, Virginia resident, who they say just doesn't have what it takes to crack into the A-list.
Love him or hate him, I think we can all agree that Dennis Kiernan is not a bankable star. He's got to have sex appeal, talent, charisma, and most importantly, that X factor. I should want to sleep with Dennis. I should want to be Dennis. Do I want to be Dennis? No.
Experts agreed the Virginia native and father of one does not have the widespread appeal required to secure a distribution deal with wide release, while also saying they had no reason to believe Kiernan would ever be capable of delivering the type of powerhouse performance that generates buzz at Sundance, Cannes, or Comic-Con.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. And of course, you can join us here on the radio waves. You can take control of the airwaves and dial in toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And joining you in the Keene, New Hampshire studio tonight, it's Ian,
Chris,
and Darryl.
We are going to start out tonight with the latest in the Bitcoin scene because it's been a big day in the Bitcoin world. One, because the much ballyhooed ETF, which stands for, what is it, Electronic Trading Fund? Honestly, I don't
know.
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not much of a trader, but I bet Roger Ver knows. He's with us here from Bitcoin.com. Hey, Roger.
Hi, guys. Nice to be with you again.
Hey, great to have you here. And then there was also some kind of, I don't know if you want to call it
exchange-traded fund.
Exchange-traded fund, okay. And then there was also like a hack of some sort that went on today at one of the Bitcoin miners, which we can get into as well. So some pretty big news that certainly the ETF news appears to have seriously affected the price of Bitcoin today. It had shot up to around $1,300 US, a new high, actually. It reached a new high price earlier today. And then once the news came out that the U.S. government's SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, would not be approving said ETF, the price tumbled around $300, went down to as low as around $1,000, and has since recovered to just over $1,100 as we are speaking now. Roger Ver, one of the proponents of moving Bitcoin forward with a larger block size. We had you on last over at the Anarchapulco event, and it was great to see you again in real life. It had been way too long. And I don't know, you wanted to comment tonight. I'm not sure if it was on all of the above or, what was your motivation for joining us?
Mark messaged me and invited me to come on is the short version, but I'm always glad to be with you guys because even aside from Bitcoin, I share your philosophy and I love the show. I've been a listener for, I don't know, since before Bitcoin, maybe 8 or 9 years now. So,
right on.
In regards to the ETF, though, it doesn't really matter from a Bitcoin perspective. We need to focus on making Bitcoin the most useful payment network and currency we possibly can. And the ETF would have been nice, but it's not the end of the world at all, because if your Bitcoins are stuck in an ETF, you're not actually able to spend them. And you're basically asking the government for permission to hold Bitcoins in a way in which you don't have to pay the government taxes on the capital gains if you hold on to them until you're older than a certain age, which I guess is nice, but this whole show is not about having to beg your masters for permission to do things.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I didn't really understand all the hype around this ETF. I mean, to me, it just seems like one government somewhere in the world making a decision about some kind of investment thing, and I didn't expect it was going to sink or swim when it came to the overall Bitcoin price, and it's down a little bit.
I had heard speculation. And, this is all it is speculation that had the ETF been approved, there's a lot of really, really, really wealthy people that would have all of a sudden decided, because, this thing's an ETF, that they want to invest in whatever this Bitcoin thing is. So they'd buy into the ETF. Mm-hmm. And then that would cause the price of Bitcoin to skyrocket, because there would not be enough Bitcoin to fulfill the demand that was being made. So the only way to wind up giving somebody $200 million worth of Bitcoin would be to have the price go up.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me too. Like we're trying to bring in non-technical people who are investors.
And it makes it so anybody that had an E-Trade account or Charles Schwab account or whatever trading account, they could just go out and buy the equivalent of or something similar to the equivalent of Bitcoin right there in their account. So people that aren't Linux core contributors can easily buy Bitcoin. Any mom at home with her E-Trade account would have been able to buy Bitcoin. So that would have been interesting, but that's not the case today, but maybe someday.
Well, yeah, I mean, why anybody would expect the government is going to lend any kind of legitimacy to Bitcoin, which is probably the number one competitor to the government's fiat currency, the money that they print out and they want all of us to continue using. It seemed to me like this was not the most likely thing to go through today, and indeed, they did reject the proposal. Now, I guess there are a couple of other different ETF proposals from different companies that are also in front of this government bureaucracy, the SEC, and who knows when or if those will come to fruition. But I agree with you, Roger. What I'd said after this was this is nothing more than a footnote in the history, this long history, almost a decade now, not quite, but right. 8 or 9 years. History of Bitcoin. I mean, this is really just nothing more than a little bump in the road.
I'm much more excited about the proposal that's working its way through the New Hampshire legislature that would say that the government, at least in New Hampshire, would not be able to regulate people that wind up trading in convertible virtual currency.
Yeah,
of which Bitcoin is one of them.
Definitely.
We didn't get to talk about that on Wednesday night. We mentioned the marijuana news that the State House voted almost 90% for marijuana decriminalization, right, which is great news. And it was all in the same article over at freekeen.com. We just didn't get to the details about Bitcoin. But, Darryl, shouldn't we be concerned as well? The last time there was a supposed Bitcoin protection bill in a couple years ago, it got changed to attack Bitcoin, didn't it?
No, the last time there was a Bitcoin protection bill, it got turned into creating a study commission to study Bitcoin.
Okay.
The money transmitter thing did not start off at all as a Bitcoin protection bill. It just started off as, let's rewrite the money transmitter statutes.
And then they added
let's regulate this Bitcoin thing.
Right, and now that's going to be removed, but further, if it goes through, and it went through the State House, it passed
Correct.
the State House, but it still has to go through the Senate and the governor.
Correct.
If it goes through, Roger, I don't know if you heard about this, but basically New Hampshire will have what's essentially what I would consider the opposite of the New York bit license. And for listeners who aren't familiar, the bit license was basically this, I don't know if it's legislation or just regulations, I guess, in New York that drove Bitcoin businesses.
Was a regulation from the Department of Financial Services, and what they wound up implementing was not anywhere near as bad as what the initial proposal was.
It's still bad. It drove Bitcoin businesses out of the state.
I didn't say it wasn't bad. Yeah. I'm just saying it wasn't as bad as the initial proposal. The initial proposal was any business that deals with virtual currency that has any customers in New York would have to collect this personal information on every customer they have, regardless of location in the world.
Can they even enforce something like that?
No, probably not, which is probably why it got changed to,
they're targeting the exchanges. They're targeting
less bad, but still bad.
So anyway, this new legislation would actually essentially protect Bitcoin businesses from any kind of regulation in New Hampshire, even specifically those who are doing what's commonly known as money transmitting. That is, taking Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency from one person to transmit to another person would actually be exempted from the money transmitter statutes. Roger, were you aware of those developments?
Yeah, I'm aware that New Hampshire's really leading the charge on freedom out of all 50 states, and once again, it's showing that's the case, and that's why if I were to ever, previously when I thought I might move back to the U.S. someday, it definitely would have been to New Hampshire and not anywhere else. And you guys just show time and time again why New Hampshire is the place to be if you're a liberty lover living in the United States. And so, I'd also like to point out, if I may,
please,
these regulations that everyone's keeps talking about. Regulations is just a euphemism. What it actually is a bunch of strangers who we've never met threatening us with violence if we don't do what they say. And that's not okay. And Bitcoin, I'm so excited about Bitcoin because it takes away their power to implement and enforce a lot of these dictates that are trying to pass down from on high. So that's really exciting to me. And I thank all the hosts of the show and hopefully a lot of your listeners as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it truly is an empowering currency that brings the power of money into the hands of the people rather than the bankers and the governments. So today there was some very disempowering news about Bitcoin, and that was that one of the mining pools essentially conducted, would you call it a hack against Bitcoin, Roger?
Vulnerability, malleability.
How would you describe this, Roger?
Yeah, it's not a hack. I guess I would describe it as intentionally causing trouble.
Okay, let's get into that and find out more about that. You can stick with us, I take it, yes?
Yep.
Roger Ver is with us here from Bitcoin.com, and we'll find out what this mining group was up to today and the havoc and confusion that they have caused. This is Free Talk Live. You can take control of the airwaves.
Have you ever thought you'd like to flip houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? Are you ready to be your own boss so you can start living the good life? Hi, I'm Preston Ely. I used to be so broke. I had my electricity turned off 9 times, but I figured out a way to quit my job and find financial freedom in real estate. For a limited time, I want to send you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It shows you how to copy exactly what I did so you can make money from the comfort of your own home without even doing any manual labor. I've already given away 5,000 books and they're going fast. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-960-3494. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. It's short, fun to read, easy to understand, and awesome. To find out how to get your free book while supplies last, call 1-800-960-3494. Call 1-800-960-3494. 1-800-960-3494.
What would your life be like if you woke up each morning with new vitality, feeling better than you have in years, and you noticed a difference in your sleeping patterns, blood sugar levels, and had a sense of well-being overall? There's something that is changing thousands of people's lives, and you could be one of them. It's called Heart and Body Extract. Sharon Harris, co-creator of Heart and Body Extract, talks about the positive effects of Heart and Body Extract.
What happens with the formula Heart and Body Extract is it's giving the body the necessary vitamins, minerals, amino acids, enzymes, and phytonutrients so the body will heal itself. And yes, the body does have the ability to balance blood pressure, balance cholesterol, clean and unclog the arteries. It can also work on balancing the circulation for diabetics. So the body is an amazing thing. It simply needs some help so it has the tools to heal itself.
Heart and Body Extract gets results. To order your 2-month supply, call now, toll free at 866-295-5305. Order online at hbextract.com.
If you're looking for work, or even if you're not, here's an innocent mistake you really want to avoid. Never return calls before listening to your voicemail. Your wireless phone sends calls you didn't answer into voicemail, and it shows you phone numbers for calls you missed. Important. Don't call back callers you missed until you have first listened to your messages. Otherwise, you frustrate people who bothered to leave messages by asking them to repeat a message they just left as your voicemail greeting instructed them to. If you're a job applicant, this alone could be a deal killer. And even if you're not, there are few things you can convey to someone that are as fundamentally maddening as, "I didn't hear you." With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips for job seekers and everyone else, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us on the radio waves here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Roger Ver with us from Bitcoin.com. We're going to continue with more information about what happened today. Not just this ETF being disapproved of by the federal government, which it would have involved Bitcoin and purportedly would have propelled it to some new heights. There was also news about some meddling by one of the miners, and we'll get into that coming up here in a moment. Also, if you have Bitcoin or you want to have Bitcoin, you need to have a wallet, and we've got an official wallet of Free Talk Live. It's called Jaxx. You can get it at jaxx.io, jaxx.io, or download it through your Google or Apple App Store. It is cross-platform, so you can not only use it on your smartphone, you can also have it on your laptop, your desktop computer, tablet, pretty much any operating system, Windows, Linux, Mac. They also have browser plugins for Chrome and Firefox, in addition to iOS and Android. So plenty of different versions of Jaxx, and all of them allow you to access your same Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. So you go to jaxx.io, you can download it there. It was created by Anthony DiOrio, who is a Free Talk Live listener and also one of the founders of Ethereum. They made it easy to back up your wallet and recover your funds with Jaxx. So if you lose your phone, as long as you've got your backup, no big deal. Jaxx is striving to give you command over your digital life. Coins, contracts, currencies, identity, and more. It's your digital command center in the palm of your hand. Jaxx, the official wallet of Free Talk Live at jaxx.io. Roger Ver is back with us from Bitcoin.com, all the way from Tokyo on Skype. You know, Roger, you were beginning to tell us about this. You didn't describe it as a hack, but, I mean, these miners at a group called BitClub basically screwed with a bunch of Bitcoin transactions earlier today. Can you explain what happened for listeners that may not be too familiar with the ins and outs, the technical background of the Bitcoin currency? I know that might be a challenge.
Sure. Well, actually, I can give you an interesting tie-in there, too. So the person behind this troublemaking on the Bitcoin network, I can guarantee you does not have a Jaxx wallet. One of the main people running this pool that caused all this trouble is a guy named James Hillard. And myself and Eric Voorhees, another longtime friend of the show, had a real interesting discussion with him in Denver, Colorado last year. And this person genuinely believes that anybody that's using a Bitcoin wallet on their phone, like Jaxx, which is a wonderful wallet that I have on my phone, he says that those aren't real Bitcoin transactions and those aren't real Bitcoin users. and he doesn't even have a Bitcoin wallet on his phone. And he's running this.
What is that supposed to mean? They're not real Bitcoin transactions, not real Bitcoin users. Is he like some kind of Bitcoin purist where you have to have the full node Bitcoin software with a 100 gigabyte blockchain file on your computer?
We're talking about me here.
Is that what he considers to be a real Bitcoin user?
Right. He thinks if you don't have the entire blockchain on your phone, and if you're not validating every single transaction on your phone, which I don't think there even are any apps that do that at the moment, that doesn't count. So he rarely uses Bitcoin ever himself. He doesn't have a wallet on his phone. And he's running this mining pool with a very small percent of the global hash rate, maybe about 3% of the global hash rate.
And then there's a lot of concerns about this mining pool anyway, that it sort of seems like a multi-level marketing thing, kind of a pyramid.
Yeah, we had somebody call in about it a few weeks ago asking us, what we thought about it. And I said, well, when I first looked at this BitClub thing, I thought this, screams red flag. It's thrown up red flags all over the place as far as possible Ponzi or pyramid scheme.
Is the BitClub one of the lending companies?
It's a mining group that
so it's just mining.
Promises
a multi-level mining marketing club of some sort that I would not recommend investing in myself at all.
Yeah, it looks really risky.
So back to what actually happened here. So the way Bitcoin transactions work is they're broadcasted to the network, and then they need to be included in a block. And there was a small bug that's been in the Bitcoin protocol since day one, 8.5 years ago now. That allows the transaction to be malleated slightly from when it was originally broadcast to the network to when it was included in a block. And occasionally some people would do that here and there for whatever.
Malleated, is that a fancy word for changed? I mean, what is that?
Yeah, that's a technical word for change. They can change. They can't change who's paid. They can't change the amount. They can't change the bad things for that directly. But what they can change is just part of the hash that's stored. So it makes it a little bit hard for certain wallet operators or certain websites to keep track of which transactions correspond.
So my understanding of what went down today was that this mining group, BitClub, they changed what are called the transaction ID numbers, or the transaction ID hashes, of all of these transactions within 2 blocks, which is quite a few, apparently, transactions. So they basically messed with the IDs to where when you send somebody Bitcoin, there's an ID attached to that transaction, and then you can search for that ID on the blockchain, which is a public ledger, and you can look at the details of that transaction ID. Well, if you send me some Bitcoin, Roger, and you say you can verify this with this transaction ID, and then I go look for that transaction ID, and it's not there, but yet the Bitcoin showed up anyway. That's what they did, was they changed the IDs around. Why? Just to mess with people?
No, there's an interesting political reason here. So there's been this ongoing Bitcoin civil war where certain parts of one side have engaged in all sorts of censorship campaigns and propaganda online and this and that. And the two sides basically, one are in favor of on-chain scaling, and that was laid out in the original white paper by Satoshi, and then another wants to make a bunch of layer 2 technologies and intentionally limit the on-chain scalability. And the mining pool operators of this particular pool, the BitClub network pool, are in favor of the layer 2 technologies. And in order to do that, they want a technology called segregated witness. And what segregated witness is just kind of a fancy name for fixing this transaction changeability problem that you just explained so well.
Mm-hmm.
And they did this, I suspect, and it seems pretty clear that their motivation was to intentionally make this a much bigger problem than it would normally have ever been, so that they can try and use that as a propaganda tool to convince more people that it's urgent that we adopt segregated witness to solve this problem. And I agree that solving this problem is something that should be done, but it's not urgent. It's been part of the Bitcoin network for over 8 years now, and it hasn't been a major issue at all. Someday we should fix it, but what's urgent to fix right now is the Bitcoin transaction fees are higher than they've ever been. The transaction confirmation times are longer than they've ever been.
Right.
And it's easier to double spin transactions than it's ever been. That's what needs to be fixed right now today.
Right, Roger, can you explain to us exactly why you think it's not an issue?
Because it's been that way for 8 years and hasn't been an issue. I guess a good analogy is if you've been wandering in the desert for a week and you haven't had anything to eat or drink and you need a haircut, when you finally reach civilization, you should probably have something to eat and drink, and then get your haircut later. And I view segregated witness as the haircut. Like, yeah, you should get a haircut, but if you're starving to death, you should get something to eat and drink first. And that's where we're at in the Bitcoin network right now. The Bitcoin network is almost unusable due to the high fees and slow confirmation times. That's what we should fix first. And Bitcoin Unlimited prioritizes fixing that first, whereas the current Bitcoin core team and their segregated witness plan is prioritizing what I view as the equivalent importance of getting a haircut.
Now, regarding the high fees and the confirmation times, this is, in my opinion, or these are the two things that are really hurting the Bitcoin network the most right now. But Chris is here from thinkpenguin.com, and he and I have been going back and forth on this online for the last couple of days. And so I want to get you to kind of weigh in on that if you can stick with us for another segment. Do you have time?
I'd love to.
Roger Ver is with us from Bitcoin.com. The challenge is the growing pains facing the Bitcoin network. Coming up.
A CNN original series.
Stop doubting and believe.
An epic saga from the dawn of history.
Behold, the man.
A miraculous journey that changed the world.
I will lay down my life for you. Whoever lives by believing in me will never die.
The greatest story ever told.
I believe you are the Son of God.
Finding Jesus. New season Sundays at 9 Eastern and Pacific on CNN.
Did you know there's a new group of water contaminants with unknown health effects? These emerging contaminants lurking in your water may include prescription over-the-counter drugs and new types of herbicides and pesticides. ProPure's improved Pro 1G 2.0 filter meets NSF 401 standards to help reduce these emerging contaminants. To find out more, visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's PROPURUSA.com.
Free Talk Live.
There's been all kinds of immigrants coming from all kinds of places, living in little enclaves, speaking their native tongue. Their kids, they learn English, and then their kids, they all don't even know their native tongue.
Right. So see,
that's what's gonna happen.
what he's explaining to you, Trish, is that this is a natural process. When you let people come here, they naturally want to learn English.
What kind of lawbreaking to put our lives in danger?
What lawbreaking are you talking about, Trish?
Sir, do you understand?
What lawbreaking are you referring to,
people can't
Trish?
leave their dogs out because these people will eat them. Do you
outrageous.
We forgot the part. It was just lepers, and now it's murdering, raping, dog-eating lepers.
Amazing. What else can you say to this?
It's just
this is outrageous.
Trish, you are putting the J in jingoist.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free speech is protected on the internet, right? Not always. Government agencies try to limit free speech and commerce on the net. Luckily, when they do, the Institute for Justice is there to defend your First Amendment right to free speech. IJ helped set the first federal precedent for internet free speech in 1999, and ever since has worked to prevent unconstitutional roadblocks in cyberspace. Visit our website today at ij.org.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring Simon to the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. You ain't going to make it. Wait now. Wait a minute. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves here. You can bring up anything you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE. We're talking about I think the best way to describe it is growing pains that Bitcoin has been experiencing. This is an amazing technology that we've been covering now for, 6 years here on Free Talk Live, and we have Roger Ver with us. We're going to bring him back in just a moment. Also, I do want to let you know about how you can save big time on your purchases at Amazon. What you do is you go to saveatpurse.com. That's saveatpurse.com. And if you have cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, you can easily save 20, 25, 15%. You get to choose your discount. All you have to do is be willing to be patient. But even if you're impatient, you can save 5% over at saveatpurse.com.
I saved 24% on basically a case of peanut and coconut oil spread.
Nice.
And I put the order up last night. Let me see if I can get 24%. This morning I got an email. The order has shipped.
That's awesome. I'm actually still waiting on a pair of headphones at 22%, so I might have to lower that one a little bit. But the last few transactions I've done, I've gotten 25% off. So it's just an incredible service, and it works well. I've been using it for more than 2 years, and it sounds too good to be true. No, this is for real. You really can get those discounts. But you have to have Bitcoin or one of the other more popular alternatives to Bitcoin to make these purchases, and it works really well. So check it out. It's saveatpurse.com. As we go back to Roger Ver with us from Bitcoin.com, talking about some of the growing pains that Bitcoin is experiencing and what to do about it in the future. And we went over some of this when we were at Anarchapulco a couple of weeks ago. You ended up having a debate with a couple of folks, which I unfortunately I had to miss. We had other things that we had to go and do at the time. But we also kind of had you present your side, and we had Tone Vase present his side of this thing. And it seemed like Tone was I don't know if you happen to hear his interview, but just to kind of recap it for you, he was almost appealing, or was basically appealing to authority, saying that, the best programmers in the world are programming the Bitcoin Core software, and we need to just do what they say to do. And basically, you're saying that there's a huge problem with these transaction fees that have essentially doubled and tripled in just recent months. I mean, it's gone crazy. I remember just a couple of years ago, it was like 2 cents to send a Bitcoin transaction. Now your typical transaction is running up to upwards of 50 cents.
Even higher than that. Just yesterday, I sent $50 to Namecheap for some domain name stuff. It was $2 to send a $50 transaction. That's crazy.
Right, and it all depends on where the coins are coming from, as I understand it. So if you have a wallet that receives, let's say you're receiving coins from different people on different addresses, it comes in through these different addresses, but when you send it out, it has to, the transaction information that you're sending out to the network has to explain where those coins are coming from, and the more wallet sources they come out of, the larger that transaction size is in kilobytes.
It would be akin to you go to the grocery store and they say your total is $5. If you hand them a $5 bill, that's one thing.
One piece of information.
One piece of information. Yeah. If you've got 3 $1 bills and then $2 of change, some of it quarters, nickels, dime, that's a lot more information.
Right, it's going to take longer to count it.
It takes longer to count,
that's
so it's kind of the same sort of thing here. It takes longer to count, and then you've got to throw in like a penny or more than a penny for each little bit of information.
Right, so if you were sending $50 worth of Bitcoin, Roger, but it was coming from multiple wallets, that's why it might have cost $2, whereas if I sent from just one wallet, and you don't get to control that when you send Bitcoin. Right. It's just you tell it what to send, and then the Bitcoin software decides how to, kind of cobble that together, if you will. And are we right about this so far?
You have it exactly right. And if you think about it, any business that's trying to use Bitcoin in business, they're going to be receiving lots of different payments from customers and then paying out to vendors or exchanges. So the fees for businesses using Bitcoin are oftentimes already tens of dollars for a single Bitcoin transaction. I've been promoting Bitcoin for over 6 years now. My speech used to be that you can send any amount of money with anyone anywhere in the world instantly and basically for free. That is no longer the case, and that's really undermining the adoption rate of Bitcoin, and that's a big problem, and that's the emergency that we need to solve right now. And the fix for transaction malleability, that's been an issue for 8 years. We can fix that later. That's not urgent at all.
What kind of businesses are you saying are, they're paying $10 for because
anybody that sells, let's say you're selling T-shirts, right? And you're selling $20 T-shirts. And if you go and sell, $120 T-shirts, that's $2,000. Then you need to go and pay the T-shirt manufacturer when you go to move the $2,000 that you received from selling the $20 T-shirts. It's going to cost you tens of dollars to move it because you have 100 inputs now because you sold 100 T-shirts to 100 different people.
If you're generating new wallet IDs for every single transaction. Now, I was thinking about this when you told me about it originally.
Even if you're not, Ian, actually, I can give you another example, and sorry to interrupt. Sure. So we have a commission payout that we get for Bitcoin.com. For every person that buys a Bitcoin on Bitcoin.com with a credit card, we get a small cut of that. And they send our commission on each and every purchase to one Bitcoin address. And over the last couple of months, because so many people are buying Bitcoin with their credit card there, that added up to $13,000 worth of commission that we had there, all sitting at one specific Bitcoin address. But because those transactions had been coming in one at a time, even though they were all going to the same Bitcoin address, when I went to move the $13,000, because there were so many inputs there, it cost me about $450 to move that to another address. And that was just moving it from one of my wallets to another wallet. That's a giant, giant problem.
That's
Anybody
huge.
That's not super philosophically motivated would say, forget it. I'm not going to use Bitcoin. This sucks compared to my normal bank. And that's horrible. That's the position we're in, and that's what we need to fix right now as soon as possible. But unfortunately, there's lots of people that don't see that as a problem at all, or aren't worried about it, or don't care.
So, Chris, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, you're kind of you've been and I don't want to put words in your mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong here, but we've been going back and forth, just kind of arguing about. I've been saying this is a big problem, and for most people, it's not going to be $400 in fees, but it's going to be, as you pointed out, 50 cents, $2, $1. I mean, those are going to be more common. Your typical fee is going to be in that range now. And I'm saying that not only has it killed the microtransaction side of this business, and you asked me, Chris, I remember you asked, well, how many businesses are really doing microtransactions? I couldn't answer that.
Not many now, because
none now, but
Change Tip went out of business. Watch My Bit didn't go out of business, but they've halted operations indefinitely.
They're not doing anything anymore. Roger, I mean, how big was microtransactions with Bitcoin until these recent fees?
It's a big, big problem. So I used to give everybody I would meet anywhere in the world about $1 worth of Bitcoin when I would meet them and explain it to the first time. I can't do that anymore because now if I want to send them $1 worth of Bitcoin, it costs about $1 to send it to them. That's a big, big, big problem. And then just 48 hours ago, we saw BitPay, the world's largest Bitcoin payment processor, increase the minimum amount for a payment. You used to be able to send 4 cents was the minimum amount. They had to raise that to $5.
Oh, no, it was $1.
Huge...
It was $1.
No.
I think it was $5. I can double check.
It was $1.
I got the notice.
$1. Yeah, I got the notice too.
Okay.
It's $1.
Even if it's $1, that's a 20 times increase, and that means you can no longer use their wonderful service to buy anything that's less than $1.
That's right.
And if this problem isn't solved soon, it'll be raised to $5 and then $10 soon for the minimum payment. This is a big problem that needs to be solved as soon as possible if we want Bitcoin to continue on the same wonderful growth trajectory that it's been on the last 8 years and is now plateaued because we've ran into this scaling issue that needs to be solved.
Yeah, I mean, what he's saying, I don't disagree with, and I have said that there's a problem.
Well, you had made it sound like the microtransactions were no big deal. That if those fell off the network, that
I don't. So again, this was in relation to my perspective. Is it came off as sounding as Bitcoin's dead because
Bitcoin's not dead.
Microtransactions are dead,
but it's bleeding. Like Bitcoin's been wounded. It's hurting.
It's
big
like
time here.
It comes off to me as a little cut.
A little cut. A little nick.
And it's going to get bigger.
Okay. It's definitely getting bigger. Those fees are going up.
Right now, it's still a little cut. Yeah.
All right. So is he characterizing this correctly, Roger? Is Bitcoin just a little nick? Is this a little, the loss of microtransactions no big deal? I think it's a huge deal. If you want to stand by, I would love to keep you with us. Roger?
You got it.
All right. Roger Ver is with us from Bitcoin.com. This is Free Talk Live.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2. Call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-940-9829. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-940-9829. Step 3. Congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-940-9829. That's 1-800-940-9829.
Attention investors, 2017 is the year of Trump, and financial markets are rising at all-time highs. But economic uncertainty may be greater than after any election in our lifetime. And as retirement approaches, there's little time to recover your losses. You need to hedge against uncertainty. That means transferring part of your retirement to physical gold and silver stored where you can actually hold it in your hand and get it fast in any disaster. It's a perfect time to buy. Prices are low and expected to climb. Make Augusta Precious Metals your personal gold and silver provider. Augusta cares for your financial position and helps you make good decisions. And they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Get Augusta's free gold and silver IRA guide. What you learn could help you weather any economic storm. There's no obligation. Just call toll-free. Call 855-222-5857. That's 855-222-5857. Again, 855-222-5857. Trust Augusta. Protect your retirement today.
Uncertainty has become the talking point when it comes to financial markets. One thing is becoming certain: safe haven assets. Hard assets are now becoming the choice of informed investors. The most recognized and valued hard asset is gold. The highest performing asset this year is gold. Trust gold to protect and grow your IRA or 401k. Central banks and billionaires are doing the same thing. Choose a more stable asset that has tremendous upside potential. As these uncertain times threaten the markets, your decision to reduce your exposure to these markets before further negative effects to your portfolio would be well timed. Call 1-800-GOLD-IRA to transfer your existing IRA into an actual physical gold and silver IRA. American Bullion is the pioneer of gold IRAs. They handle all the details for you. Call 1-800-GOLD-IRA to get prepared. Start protecting and growing your IRA and 401k before the next crash. American Bullion. 1-800-GOLD-IRA.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu. 641-793-9660.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Dial in toll free. Join us here, and you can talk about whatever you want, although right now we're talking about some of the challenges facing Bitcoin, the world's most popular cryptocurrency. It is just amazing. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. I love Bitcoin. I've been a huge fan for many years since Roger Ver over at Bitcoin.com helped drag us into it. Thank goodness that you did, Roger, and we're glad to have you back here on Free Talk Live. By the way, if you want to call in, you're welcome to join the conversation here at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Chris from ThinkPenguin.com on. It's Ian and Darryl as normal here. And we were just talking during the break about these fees, and we were looking at our transactions on our phones. What are some of the things we purchased recently? We all like to go out to Local Burger here in Keene, which is a local business it's a hamburger place that accepts Bitcoin at the point of sale, which is a really cool thing. And we were just kind of comparing, well, what was it that we actually paid in our fees to make these purchases? And Chris, you had paid about 20 cents on your most recent, about a $10 transaction. And I told you, we looked at the actual fee per kilobyte, and I told you paid about half of what the recommended fee is. So right now, the recommended fees, if you go to, there's a website that's actually pretty interesting, bitcoinfees.21.co, kind of a strange address, bitcoinfees.21.co. And that shows you where the current fees are right now on the Bitcoin network and where sort of the sweet spot is to make sure that your Bitcoin transaction makes it into the next block and isn't delayed. As we've seen, sometimes people who don't send these recommended transaction fees can be delayed by hours, if not more than a day or more than 1 day. Roger, have you had experience with these transaction delays? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah. So in the early days of Bitcoin, or actually pretty much all of Bitcoin's history up until maybe 6 months ago when the blocks became full, pretty much every single transaction was included in the very next block, which meant pretty much every transaction was recorded in the blockchain in about 10 minutes. Recently, that time, the average time now is more than 2 hours for a transaction to be included in the blockchain. That's a
ridiculous.
huge problem. Yeah, it is ridiculous. And there's an easy way to solve this problem. And the part that's so crazy about it is a lot of the supporters of segregated witness have been calling for this exact situation, saying we need to have the blocks be full all the time where everybody has to bid against each other for inclusion in that block. And that's what the exact issue that's causing this big problem. Then they even have the nerve to say such things that Bitcoin has been proven to be unstable if the blocks aren't full. Well, the blocks weren't full for the first 7.5 years of Bitcoin's existence, and that's when it had the best user experience and the fastest growth rate. And it's just now that the blocks are full that there's these huge problems, and it takes 2 hours on average for a transaction to be included in a block. This is a huge problem for Bitcoin that needs to be solved right away.
Let me ask a question real quick. I know that in the early days, the blocks did not have a size. When was a limit added to the size of a Bitcoin block?
So that was sometime way back, I think in 2010, when the average block size was about 5 kilobytes. They implemented a 1 megabyte limit, right? So that means about 200 times the actual block size at the time was the maximum limit. So that would be the equivalent if we were to have a maximum block size limit today of 200 megabytes per block. That's what we're talking about. So it was effectively no limit at all. So if you want to keep Bitcoin the same, you need to make sure that the blocks aren't full and that there's plenty of room for additional transactions all the time. Yet a bunch of other people are trying to change this fundamental property of Bitcoin that led to Bitcoin's success in the first 7.5 years. And that's altering the underlying economic code of Bitcoin. And that's incredibly dangerous to the future of Bitcoin. And that's why I'm so upset about this and doing everything I possibly can to try and solve this issue in a timely manner.
Roger, so as far as so you're promoting Bitcoin Unlimited, correct?
Right.
Okay. Now I have some questions for you about that. Is that
Bitcoin Unlimited is a competitive? It's basically a competitor to the Bitcoin Core software, which is the main Bitcoin software. Bitcoin Unlimited is it has worked in proposals to fix some of these problems. So, for instance, raising the block size is one of the major changes that Bitcoin Unlimited proposes. Isn't that right, Roger? I just want to make sure we know what this is.
Right, and it fixes it in a way in which it's never, ever going to be a problem ever again. Let's say we were to change the block size limit from 1 megabyte to 2 megabytes today, hard-coded in. That means in another year or so from now, everyone's going to be arguing about the exact same thing once again, whereas with Bitcoin Unlimited, it allows all the nodes and the miners and everybody else to specify right there in their Bitcoin node what the maximum block size they're willing to accept is. So, we won't have this giant political argument in the same way that we're having today. That problem will be solved once and for all, which I think is a fantastic thing, because I know I'm really tired of arguing. I think a lot of other people are too.
So go ahead with your question.
So Roger, okay. So my question was about dynamic block sizes. Is that what Bitcoin Unlimited is? Is that how it's doing it? And what about the security implications of that?
So a dynamic block size would be a little bit different, which I wouldn't have had a problem with at all. It was proposed numerous times in the past. Gavin Andreessen, the guy who introduced Bitcoin to you guys on the show long ago, was in favor of that and wrote up the code to have it, but it was actually blocked. So what Bitcoin Unlimited is using is something called emergent consensus, which is basically where just all the people that are using Bitcoin get to decide what size blocks they're willing to accept, and the miners broadcast what size blocks they're willing to accept and what size blocks they're willing to produce. And then everybody just kind of converges upon what the accepted size for those are. And there's additional code that's coming out in the next version of Bitcoin Unlimited that will actually signal at what future date the nodes will start to accept the new block size. So everybody can say, okay, on August 1st of 2017, and it's actually timed in terms of block height. So it'll be on a block that's likely to be found around that day. We'll say, okay, all of our nodes are going to start accepting up to 4 megabyte blocks instead of the 1 megabyte blocks we accept today. So it makes it real easy for everyone to look and see what everybody else is signaling they're going to do. And then all the nodes on the network will get to switch all on the exact same block height to the new maximum block size, which makes it I think a much better and fairer and open system than the one we have now, where there's a bunch of begging and pleading from a couple of dozen core developers to do something. And a lot of those people, self-admittedly, they hardly ever use Bitcoin. They use Bitcoin. One of them that I debated in Acapulco last week, he said he uses Bitcoin on average about 10 times a year. That's less than once per month. He doesn't even have a Bitcoin wallet on his phone.
That's like
this is crazy.
That's about what I use it maybe a week.
Yeah, that's really amazing that somebody who is one of the core developers would be such a infrequent user of his own technology. Really kind of sad stuff.
It'd be like Bill Gates saying, "Oh yeah, I might use the internet once a month."
Yeah.
And to be fair, that person I think only had one core commit, but he works for Blockstream, which is I think the #1 employer of core developers, and is staunchly on their side in regards to the scaling debate. And I've just recently discovered and noticed, like, every time I ask one of these staunch core developers, it seems like they very rarely use Bitcoin. So both of the people I debated in Mexico, both of them admitted to very rarely using Bitcoin. And it seems very clear that all the businesses and the people that use Bitcoin often, the vast majority of those people seem to understand that this is a giant problem for Bitcoin that we need to solve right now.
Now, Darryl, you and we agree this is a problem with these fees. But,
yes.
Chris, you'd said it's a little cut. This is no big deal. 20 cents on a $10 transaction. You say no big deal.
Currently. Moving forward, if the fees keep increasing and so on, then yeah, we have a problem.
How high do the fees have to go before you would say it's a serious problem?
Well, I think it's going to become more of a problem for a greater number of use cases. So it's not just going to fall over overnight. I mean, even if the prices went up to $40, you're still going to see a use case for it. People already pay $40 to do a wire transfer. So,
So if I can jump in and disagree with Chris here a little bit. So there's 1,000 other cryptocurrencies out there that are all competing for this use case. And Bitcoin is losing more and more market share against them. We've seen a number of companies that used to be staunchly Bitcoin only. They said, we are not going to integrate any altcoins. Like Coinbase, right? The #1 place in probably the entire world for people to have bought their first Bitcoins. They used to be Bitcoin only for years and years until this scaling issue became a real problem. And now they've been busy integrating altcoins. We've seen that with all the major exchanges around the world that used to be Bitcoin to fiat only exchanges. Now they're busy integrating these competitors to Bitcoin. A long time Bitcoin user asked me when I was in Mexico to send him some Dash. It was the first time I'd ever sent him something other than Bitcoin. And when I did it, I sent him, over $100,000 worth of Dash. It was confirmed in the very next block, and it cost me I think a fraction of a penny to send it. And that's exactly how Bitcoin used to work. And Bitcoin doesn't work that way anymore. And that's a big problem, because Bitcoin, people aren't going to pay $40 for a single Bitcoin transaction. They're going to use one of these 1,000 other cryptocurrencies that are out there competing for Bitcoin's top spot.
Right. The higher the fee goes, the more people are going to drop off the Bitcoin network. Roger, do you want to stick with us?
I actually have to run, but I always appreciate having you guys, being on the show. So thank you guys
so much.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate the extended interview. Roger Ver from Bitcoin.com. We'll continue. You can take control of the airwaves. Hour 2 coming up. It's Free Talk Live. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. SaveItPurse.com. Do you need a website for your blog or new business? It can be pretty intimidating on your own, and that's why Free Talk Live has partnered with HostGator, one of the top hosting companies. HostGator offers a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress, 24/7 over the phone or live chat tech support, and a very intuitive, user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation back into your hands. Go to HostGator.com/FTL and you'll get 50% off of their regular hosting prices. 50% off. HostGator.com/FTL.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Toll House Morsels, helping you create special moments and memories your family will cherish forever. Visit us at tollhouse.com. You may bake for birthdays and holidays, but why stop there? Sweeten up the rest of the year by designating monthly dessert days. Treat your family to one of their favorites or surprise them with something new. Either way, you'll create a tradition everyone will love. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, March 10th, 2017. Silver is trading at $16.93 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,198 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 1.5 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $1,248. Antiwar.com reports officials familiar with the situation say that the United States is deploying an additional 400 ground troops to Syria to fight against the Islamic State. The new figure includes the troops sent to Manbij and the artillery marines sent to Raqqa recently, as well as some other yet-to-be-deployed forces. All told, this will slightly more than double the number of U.S. troops in Syria as when President Trump took office. Estimates were of 300 or slightly more. The formal U.S. cap on troops in Syria is 503, which basic math will show they have since far exceeded. This is true in Iraq as well, where the Pentagon long deliberately lied about the official deployment to Iraq to stay under the cap by labeling thousands of troops as temporary but open-ended deployments. It does not appear that this is the total escalation proposed in the plan delivered by the Pentagon early last week, but may be the first stage. This also does not include the reserve deployment of over 1,000 troops to Kuwait, which could be accessed at will by the commanders in both Iraq and Syria for escalations. Details on the Pentagon's plan suggest that the goal is rapid progress against the Islamic State on the ground, particularly in Syria, though the rapidity appears purely optional since, particularly in the case of Iraq, officials say the deployments are basically permanent and the troops will stay long after the war is over anyhow. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the U.S. House passed a bill Thursday that will restrict the number and size of class action lawsuits, with one Democratic lawmaker accusing Republicans of giving the finger to Americans who have been injured by large corporations. The Fairness in Class Action Litigation Act passed the House 220 to 201. The legislation does not outlaw class action suits, but requires the trial judge to certify that each individual in the class of plaintiffs has suffered the same level of injury. Republicans argued that overly broad class action lawsuits allow allow trial lawyers to artificially increase the size of the class, allowing them to extort larger settlement offers and jury verdicts by making it appear that more people were affected than actually were. Representative Blake Farenthold of Texas said the purpose of a class action is to provide a fair means of evaluating similar meritorious claims, not to provide a way for lawyers to artificially inflate the size of a class to extort a larger settlement fee for themselves, siphoning money away from those actually injured and increasing prices for everyone. Democrats shot back that people injured by large corporations should be allowed to band together because forcing them to wage individual legal battles would give the advantage to corporations and their larger legal teams. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports several states said on Thursday they would move forward with a legal challenge to a revised executive order by President Donald Trump this week that temporarily bars the admission of refugees and some travelers from a group of Muslim-majority countries. The new travel ban, which is set to take effect on March 16th, changed and replaced a more sweeping ban issued on January 27th that caused chaos and protest at airports. The first order was hit by more than 24 lawsuits, including a challenge brought by Washington State and joined by Minnesota. In response to Washington's suit, U.S. District Judge James Robart in Seattle ordered an emergency halt to the policy last month. That ruling was upheld by an appeals court in San Francisco. Washington State Attorney General Robert Ferguson said on Thursday he planned to ask Robart to confirm his ruling would also apply to Trump's revised order, which would halt it from being implemented. Ferguson told a news conference the new order harmed a smaller group of individuals, but that would not affect the state's ability to challenge it in court. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Readers rejoice! This week, Amazon unveiled the Kindle Flare, the latest model of their popular e-reader. The improved device has the ability to loudly and repeatedly announce the title of the book you're reading so everyone knows how smart you are.
Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut.
The hot new e-reader includes a massive catalog of titles, a sleek, easy-to-use interface, and a loud, clear voice that barks the name and author of your book on a loop. Amazon says the repetitive shouting is a small feature that makes a big difference. Readers say that with crystal clear 150 decibel stereo speakers, the Flare provides the most conspicuous reading experience yet. When you're not reading, the Flare automatically switches into bookshelf mode, which conserves power and reads off a list of everything on your Kindle.
Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, a confederacy of dunces.
And Amazon's competition has also stepped up their game as Apple released a new iPad that whispers, "I have an iPad," over and over again.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Dial toll free, bring up what you want, and do that at 855-450-FREE. We do have some news-related stuff that we can talk about here tonight, but we were discussing the growing pains of Bitcoin. Some people don't think it's as big of a deal as some others, like here in the studio. There's a little bit of a disagreement. We can get back into that. With you tonight, it's Ian,
Chris,
and Darryl.
Let's go to your phone calls first and thoughts with Rob in Reno, watching us on YouTube through cam.freetalklive.com. Go ahead, Rob.
Hi, how you doing? I originally had a question for Roger, but since he's not here anymore, and no, it's totally fine. He's probably got a life too. I have a burning newbie question, okay, for someone that is trying to be able to get into day trading for Bitcoin, for speculation. And it doesn't seem like anyone that I've talked to knows the answer. Where is an exchange that I can go to that you can take advantage of the volatility of the market? Because it seems like, at least, okay, so when I bought some Bitcoin through Coinbase, and when I did that, there was a delay for several days.
Right.
Was that something that was because I was a new
No.
Purchaser?
Nope,
or
that's
was
standard because
No, that's
they're
Coinbase
pulling
standard.
money out of your bank account.
Right. So what's going on there is Coinbase is using an ACH transaction to withdraw from your bank
Right.
account, and ACH typically takes 2 or 3 business days, and so they float you for a while there. If you're looking to do real trading, what you're doing there with Coinbase is you're just buying Bitcoin. But Coinbase does now have a trading platform. It's called GDAX, and there are a number of these exchanges that are like these trading platforms where you would have to wire money in. Then you can get your money there on the same day. Typically, if your wire goes out, before the close of business, it'll usually be received by the exchange on the same day and credited to your account. Some exchanges like Kraken, sometimes they can take a couple days, but others like ItBit or Bitfinex, which is an international exchange, they will credit you on the same day that they receive the wire. So once you have the U.S. dollars in your account, then you can go in there and you can buy and sell and do it.
There's an exchange that I've used before to do some sort of speculation sort of stuff. Now, one of the problems is you can't necessarily put U.S. dollars into the account, so you have to fund with a cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got dozens of currencies that you can trade between.
Yeah, there are a bunch of those
Vircurex.
exchanges. Yep.
VIRCUREX.
Are they still open? Because I tried going there a few weeks ago and they were They were like down.
It's been months since I've visited. I've got a couple of Dogecoin in that account that somebody had sent me, but it's less than
they're back up.
It's less than the amount of, if I converted it to Bitcoin, what a transaction fee would be.
So, yeah, I mean, there are a bunch of those kind of exchanges that you're talking about, crypto-only exchanges,
Right.
Darryl. But
and if he's looking to do day trading, then, like a lot of the people that day trade, they'll do, like the pump and dump of other currencies.
But, Rob, you're specifically looking to get U.S. dollars into an exchange, correct?
that's the other. Well, that kind of goes into the question. Do most people, when they trade, go from one cryptocurrency to the other, or are they going from a terrestrial, real-life fiat
I think it's pure speculation for us to even attempt to answer that question.
I have no idea what most people do.
I don't trade.
Okay, because I'm still kind of asking the question. Is like, okay, so you go into, you said it's called GDAX, is what Coinbase does?
GDAX.
What's it called?
GDAX is their exchange.
Okay. And so you put your U.S. dollars into an account with GDAX,
Mm-hmm.
and they basically hold it for you while you're trading?
That's correct.
And then you pull your money out? Okay, all right. So in other words, it's kind of like changing your dollars in for some chips at the table and then, putting bets down. Pretty much. I mean, okay. Yeah, I live in Reno. We don't call it gambling. We call it a volatile investment.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got to think about it. It's pretty darn volatile right now. I mean,
well, not only is it volatile in the aspect of the price is up and down. I mean, today it was incredibly volatile, going up to around 1,300 from about 1,200, then down to as low as 1,000, and now back up to 1,150 right now. So it's been a pretty crazy day, but you're also keep in mind there's risk involved when you put money into these exchanges. Now, Coinbase will say that they've got insurance or whatever, I think, but you might want to look into it.
Not against the volatility, though.
Huh?
Not against the volatility, though.
No, against against hacking, I believe. That was what I was going to say, was that your risk is not just the volatility. Your risk is that the exchange could be hacked while your money is in it. So, for instance, the Bitfinex exchange, which is the world's largest Bitcoin exchange right now, that has several other cryptocurrencies that they do exchanging with, but they accept dollars. They lost, $76 million worth of Bitcoin over the summer due to a hack, and so it was the Bitcoin that got hacked. Anybody that had their money in U.S. dollars with Bitfinex, the dollars weren't touched because you can't easily transfer dollars out of an account. But you can easily transfer Bitcoin out, and that's what not easily, but the hackers went in there and took that money. They managed to come back, interestingly, that it didn't kill their business, and they kind of had a unique way of making their users whole, or at least as best they could. Users lost thousands of dollars. The Shire Free Church, for instance, had an account there that we were using to purchase Bitcoin that we ultimately were selling at the Bitcoin vending machines here later on. And so we lost around $2,000 worth of Bitcoin in that hack. And what they did was they issued us tokens. So they sort of monetized the loss and said, oh, you lost $2,000 worth of Bitcoin. Here's 2,000 tokens that represent those dollars, and then you could trade their own tokens. So they were basically like Bitfinex debt tokens, essentially. And they had a value that they were trading for on the Bitfinex, on their platform, which was like 20 cents in the beginning, and it went up over time. And I ended up cashing them out at around 50 cents each, so about half of what their original value was. So ended up losing only half of what I thought I was going to lose. And they're right now, I think the last time I logged in, they were at around 80-something cents per. So they actually issued tokens representing the debt that they essentially had to all these people, and then allowed them to trade those tokens on their exchange, which is kind of an interesting way to handle it. And I guess the market decided to give them another try, because right now they're the number one exchange in the world right now. So it's kind of an interesting way of handling a huge loss, a huge hit to their credibility. But I was just saying, bringing all this up to say, beware, don't put any money into these exchanges that you cannot afford to lose, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Right, and just before Mt. Gox wound up collapsing, they were saying nobody can withdraw anything from the exchange.
Every investment has risks, so
sure,
that's what you got to keep in mind.
I know you got to go to break real quick. What were the other ones besides GDAX that you were mentioning? There was like a list of different places you were talking about.
So there are only a handful of domestic exchanges in the United States. There's the Coinbase one, which is GDAX. There's ITBIT, ITBIT, and then there's also Gemini, which those, I believe, are the only 3 U.S.-based, dollar-based exchanges. There are other ones that do crypto only. So there you go, Rob.
Great. I'll check those out.
Good luck.
Thank
Happy
you.
trading. Thanks for the call tonight.
And
appreciate
apparently,
it.
I've got the list of what Bitcoin Average is using.
Yeah, that's a good list of exchanges for around the globe.
CryptoNet Bit, spelled B-I-T-T.
Are you going from the bottom up? Because
bottom up.
Okay.
Hit
Some of them aren't even
BTC.
worth. Many of them aren't worth mentioning. If you look at the volume, Darryl, you can see how many per day Bitcoins are being traded there. You go up about halfway up the list to where around like Gemini is usually.
Kraken, CX, X Money, Gemini, ITBIT, BTC-E,
yep,
and then the other ones you had already mentioned.
Right.
I was just trying to mention the ones that you did not.
Yeah, there's some little ones out there, but if they don't have much trading volume, then if you're looking to do any significant trading, you're not going to be able to accomplish it.
True.
In those locations. So
right.
They have
I don't know if they have support for other cryptocurrencies, so if he's wanting to do some speculation, it might be worth a shot.
This is Free Talk Live. You are welcome to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And you can take control of the airwaves here. This is Free Talk Live.
Sheba is 105 lean pounds of happy dog for life because she gets fed Dynavite and Lico Chops.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite for your dog this week.
We'll send you a bottle of Lico Chops free.
New improved Lico Chops with omega-6, omega-3, vitamin E.
And now 6 extra direct-fed microbials.
Even better for the digestive tract and immune system.
Try Lico Chops.
Free this week at Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
This is Ed Lukasevic.
And Cindy Lukasevic at Dynavite.
This year, whenever you order a 90-day supply of Dynavite for your dog, we'll send you a free sample of one of the other doggy things we make.
Like Lico Chops, Super Mega Fish Oil, or Doggo Suds Shampoo.
What's on your dog's wish list?
We'll offer a different freebie each week at Dynavite.com.
Don't you just love the sound of healthy, happy dogs?
Dynavite is nutrition. Dynavite for life. DINOVITE.com.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-340-5528. That's 800-340-5528. Again, 800-340-5528.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial in toll free. Bring up what you want. Our number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Bitcoin's been in the news recently. It made some headlines just about a week ago when it crashed past the price of gold, having dipped down below the price of gold again since that time. So as of right now, gold is more expensive than Bitcoin, but not by that much. As we continue here in studio, it's Ian,
Chris,
and Darryl.
We're going to go back to your phone calls and thoughts. Our toll-free number, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE. Now, I mean, this isn't a Bitcoin show, but every now and then we get hot and heavy with Bitcoin because it's important to us. It's something that that many of us are big fans of. In fact, we got a great Bitcoin community here in Keene, New Hampshire, where we live and do this show from. Keene is, in fact, one of the highest concentrations of Bitcoin accepting businesses per capita out there in the world right now. And I need to recalculate the numbers because I had the folks over at coinmap.org update the map. There were a couple businesses that had kind of dropped off the radar, so to speak, out here, and they were still on the coin map. So I wanted to get those off the coin map. I wanted to make sure we had as accurate of a map as possible because I used those numbers to compare Keene's Bitcoin per capita with other cities like San Francisco, who obviously are not as well curated, right? Like San Francisco, there's 180 or something, Bitcoin businesses in there. Who knows what? I mean, I haven't gotten the numbers recently, but who knows how many of those are still there, or still active, or whatever. Right. So in Keene, it's all accurate right now. So they did update the numbers. And the last time I looked at them, which was a few months ago, Keene had a higher concentration, a higher per capita number of Bitcoin businesses per capita than did San Francisco, which was the supposed global leader in Bitcoin businesses per capita, which would mean that Keene is actually the global leader. Now, there may be there's probably some other town with a bunch of Bitcoin businesses, and I just don't know what it is.
Some town with like 12 people and
one Bitcoin business. Right, yeah. Yeah. So we're up there for sure. And I'm excited by the fact that we have so many great Bitcoiners in the area. And I'm not just talking about like online businesses like thinkpenguin.com, which is your business, Chris. You sell privacy-oriented, like super privacy-oriented computer hardware over there.
Yeah, I mean we're geared towards that. Obviously, nothing is totally private, especially now. But
Sure.
It's where things are going as far as what we're investing in and so forth.
And you accept Bitcoin and have been for a while.
Yes, absolutely.
But it's not just businesses like yours or Liberty Lobby, .info. It's real mom and pop. You can walk in, brick and mortar businesses.
Corner News, Local Burger.
Yeah. And some of these
101
businesses,
Local Goods.
Corner News has been a mainstay for 100 years in Keene, and they're taking Bitcoin. So there's some cool stuff going on here. But the recent troubles, the recent growing pains with Bitcoin have made it a little bit more frustrating to try to introduce the technology, because I find myself wondering what kind of an appeal the Bitcoin has as far as spending it goes. I mean, obviously people can look at Bitcoin passing the price of gold and say, there's an investment vehicle. Okay, yeah, no doubt about it. If you are looking to invest some money, and again, don't invest anything you can't afford to lose because the price could go down. But Bitcoin over time seems to have gone up in price. As it becomes more popular and more accepted, it will likely continue to rise in price. So I think it is a good investment. But as far as like day-to-day purchases are concerned, it used to be something that could be pretty good for that. But now, with the average Bitcoin or the median Bitcoin transaction recommended price being around 50 cents worth of Bitcoin per transaction, nobody is going to go into the corner store, lay down $1 worth of Bitcoin for a soda out of the fridge, because they'll have to pay an extra 50 cents to move that Bitcoin from their wallet into the wallet of the store. And that's a huge problem. And this is one of the things you and I had disagreed about, is that you were saying this isn't that big of a problem. You did acknowledge the fees are larger and that the growing fees are a problem, but you're saying
that could become a problem.
You're saying not such a big deal to you.
I think the majority of people at this point, it's not going to be a problem for. I think going forward, if things continue the way they are going, then it could be a problem.
When you say the majority of people, you're judging based on your own experience using Bitcoin. You told us, I think it was during a break, I don't know if maybe it was on the air. You told us that you don't ever buy anything more than 10 or less than $10.
No, I actually double checked myself on that one. Mm-hmm. So I actually have bought stuff as low as like about $6. Like
in real life?
In real. This is only the stuff I've bought in real life. Online, Online, I probably spend a lot more.
I mean, $6, if you're paying 50-cent fee, that's close to 10%.
I haven't paid 50 cents, though.
Yeah, but you paid 20 cents, and that's still, 5 or something percent of that amount.
It's been anywhere between 11 cents and 20 cents.
Yeah, well, you're paying less than the recommended fees are what they are. And, again, I still think that's a lot of money. If you're talking about the average person, when they go up and they buy something for $6, they're paying cash, they're paying $6. If they're paying credit card, they're paying $6. If they're paying Bitcoin, it's $6.20 if it's your fee. If it's the recommended fee, it's $6.50. And that's as of today, Friday, the 10th of March. Next month, the fees could be $1 on average per, or median transaction per. I mean, so the question is, to you say, 20 cents, no big deal. But the average person who might be pinching pennies, I don't know how well off you are, Chris, but you run your own business. You seem to be okay, right?
Yeah,
like you don't have a problem eating at Local Burger, which is kind of an expensive burger shop. It's not the cheapest burger shop in town.
Sure.
So to you, 20 cents may not be a big deal, but to somebody who's trying to get the bills paid at the end of the month and feed the kids, they're pinching pennies. They're clipping coupons out of the newspaper. It is not going to be even an option on the table for that person to say, I want to spend Bitcoin because I want to pay 50 cents more.
I think the majority of people right now who are using Bitcoin are probably not in the space that you're concerned about. That's just
pure speculation, and to say that it's the vast majority that are concerned is pure speculation.
And to write all those people off, which is what sounds like you're doing. Like, those people.
No.
We don't want them using Bitcoin.
I'm not writing it off. I'm not saying there's not a problem.
Do we want those people using Bitcoin?
I'm not saying there's not going to be a problem. I'm saying that I don't think it's as like when we're talking about Bitcoin's adoption at the stage that we're at. I don't think this is, this is not going to be the end of Bitcoin. This is a little.
No, it's not going to be the end of
Bitcoin. This is a little hump. We got to get over it, and
I agree with you.
It's going to happen, and it's going to take maybe a little bit longer, but I agree.
We need to get over the hump. That much I agree with you on.
But it's not freaking me out. I don't think it's going to,
It's not freaking me out either.
It's not going to slow adoption. I don't.
It is slowing adoption. Anybody who wants to do business under $10 is not going to be able to do it with Bitcoin economically. That's a huge market segment. You write off these microtransactions as though they don't matter.
If we had some numbers to look at, maybe you're right, but we don't have any numbers to look at.
It's not about numbers. It's about the individual user experience. It's drilled down to the individual. Why would somebody who wants to look into this new technology, they're looking at it, they think, wow, this is pretty exciting. Oh, wait, I've got to spend 50 cents for every transaction, or 20 cents or 25 cents or whatever for every single transaction of something I want to buy. I'm not going to go and buy a hamburger and pay more than I have to. The average person, I don't think, thinks about these things in the way that you do, and you shouldn't just write them off because they're having a different experience. Because right now, they won't want to try this. It's Free Talk Live. What do you think?
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
A CNN original series.
Stop doubting and believe.
An epic saga from the dawn of history.
Behold, the man.
A miraculous journey that changed the world.
I will lay down my life for you.
Whoever lives by believing in me will never die.
The greatest story ever told.
I believe you are the Son of God.
Finding Jesus. New season Sundays at 9 Eastern and Pacific on CNN.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial toll free and join us on the radio waves here. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you in studio tonight, it's me, Ian.
Chris.
And Darryl.
Also, want you to know about My Pillow. It's a great pillow. I use it. Darryl's got one. You can get yours over at mypillow.com with code FTL, like Free Talk Live, to get one at half price or two for the price of one. The MyPillow is really an excellent pillow. It is designed to fit to the shape of your body and hold your neck in the proper position. Plus, it's washable. So if you want, you can put it in your washer and your dryer. It's designed for that. It's a great product, and you get to decide for yourself. You don't just have to take our word for it. You get it. If for some reason you don't like MyPillow, you can send it back within the first 60 days, and they'll send you your money back. So you go to mypillow.com, use code FTL, and that gets you one at half off or two for the price of one. That's mypillow.com. By the way, 10-year warranty on the product. They really stand behind their product over at mypillow.com with code FTL. As we go to Riley on the line. Oops, hang on a second there. That's some sort of news headline thing going in the background.
I didn't
remove
do
that. Let's try Riley again here. Riley, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey guys, so I wanted to talk about something going on in Utah right now. Utah just passed a law that will remove mandatory vehicle inspections. This doesn't affect me, but I know it will affect a lot of other people that drive in Utah. So that's some exciting news going on in Utah.
That is interesting, and I'm sure if we had been there for the hearing on that, you would have seen the automotive inspection industry coming out and railing against this because it means a big drop in their guaranteed business every year. If the Utah situation is anything like what they have here in New Hampshire, they have inspection stickers here on a yearly basis where if your car doesn't pass the inspection, the inspector or the auto dealer, as I understand it, basically gets to say, well, you can't take your car away until you have it fixed.
You can't leave until you give us $100 million.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can legally tow it out of the yard or something like that. I don't know. I've never actually had a New Hampshire car.
Isn't there a 30-day period where you can still drive it?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I've never had a car registered in New Hampshire, so I couldn't tell you exactly.
Well, one thing that's interesting, until a couple of years ago, the loophole in the law was that you just had to have the vehicle inspected. There was no requirement that it pass the inspection.
Really?
That's awesome.
They fixed that, though.
They fixed that. And one of the guys that used to live in Keene, kind of an activist guy, Steve Z, tried using that as a defense on a case, and they're like, yeah, no, it doesn't matter. Even though the law doesn't specifically say that you have to pass, it certainly implies it, and that was about the same time that the change was going through anyway.
Yeah, so I was actually at one of the hearings where they were proposing taking the inspection requirement from 1 year to 2, meaning that every other year you'd have to go in and get inspected. And the auto dealers...
You're trying to take our money!
Oh, yeah, the auto dealers literally brought out a bag full of rusty parts and dumped it on the table, and they're like, this is what would happen if you don't get your cars inspected. Even though not every state has inspections, including some northern states.
Right. Michigan,
Jersey is
Montana...
better than... Yeah, New Jersey has 5 years
For an inspection?
I believe, yeah.
I
for
think
newer
Rhode
vehicles.
Island just got rid of their inspections a couple of years ago.
Right. So the claim is that, in northern states, it's cold, there's salt on the roads, rust, therefore more dangerous, therefore inspections necessary. But as you pointed out, there are these northern states that don't have inspections, and you don't have a bunch of problems with people careening off the road because, their
people
brakes
will
just
drive
fail.
a car without doors and windows.
Yeah. Anyway, Riley, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are like you guys are saying. There were not auto manufacturers, but auto
repair shops
out there saying that we need these mandatory vehicle inspections. And there's a libertarian think tank in Utah called the Libertas Institute that lobbied for the mandatory vehicle inspection to no longer be a law in Utah. So I'm excited about that. I think it's going to save a lot of people extra money. I don't think people are going to be careening off the roads in Utah, since some of it is kind of a desert. We don't get tons and tons of snow in Utah unless you live in the mountains or the northern Utah. So it's not a huge problem.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem. It's just basically fear-mongering. It's just using fear to scare people into believing that they need to have some sort of government sticker on their windshield to prove that they're somehow a safe driver or that the vehicle's safe. Hey, Riley, by the way, for listeners that don't know, you are the guy who's been creating the Free Talk Live Digest, which is a shortened version, a highlights reel, if you will, of each show, and you put your own time and effort into this. There are donation links on the descriptions of each of these shows, so anybody that has been listening to those digests should look at the description if you want to send a little something to Riley if you appreciate his efforts, because we're not paying him. He's doing this for the love of doing it and in the hopes that people will see the value in it and send him a little something. How many months has it been now? Do you recall offhand?
It's been over 9 months, almost 10.
That's
amazing. On the 23rd,
amazing.
it'll be 10.
Nice.
Thank you for the dedication.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I've had to take some personal time over the past couple weeks, but
that's all right.
I should be on schedule.
Cool, man. Hey, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate you bringing up the good news out of Utah. Appreciate hearing from you. And you can call in. Sound just as good as Riley. He was on Skype. Our Skype username is lrn.fm. You just send a contact request over. We'll approve it, and you'll be good to go. In fact, speaking of Utah, Steve is also in St. George and listening on TuneIn. Hey, Steve.
Hey. I hate to burst your bubble on that, but the authoritarians aren't going to let us get away that easy here in St. George.
Oh, no. What's going on?
What they did is they dropped the need for the annual inspection and raised the rates on the registration so they can hire more cops to look at cars as they're driving down the road so they can get more revenue off of pulling people over.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's politics for you, right? One step forward, two steps back.
They're not going to let people get out of that.
They want to get out of the work but still get the money.
Right.
Well, the state's going to get the money either way, right?
Oh wait, is it the state that's getting all the money now?
No, he said the vehicle registration fees are going up. So you may not have to pay for an inspection.
Registration fees are going up, and then they're going to make more highway patrols run around looking at people's cars.
That goes to the
distance and
state, whereas before
figuring it out.
The inspection went to the mechanics, right?
Well, there's a fee for the inspection that does go to the state.
A portion of it will go to the state.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
so basically,
and
they're just
the garages that do it get a little kickback.
They're basically just taking all the money.
Spread the money around a little bit.
The state's just taking basically all the money now for themselves, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's another way to look at it.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, thanks for clearing that up, man. Anything else you want to share?
No, that's it.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the call.
But, most people, and I'm speculating here, there's definitely a sizable majority of people that in states that don't have mandatory vehicle inspections will still take their vehicle occasionally to a mechanic somewhere. Hey, give it a once over, make sure everything's good.
I do. I've been up in New Hampshire for a decade. I've never had a New Hampshire registered vehicle. So I don't want to deal with the New Hampshire requirements and all that nonsense. And so every vehicle I've ever driven, I've always taken in at least once a year, sometimes more than once, and have had inspected for safety. I don't want to go careening off the road due to some rusty belt or whatever it is that rusts under there.
And then I've lived in places, New Hampshire included, where people just think, oh, I don't have to wind up replacing anything ever until I go get the inspection. And then the guy's like, oh, you need new brakes or you need this. So people just wait until it's time for the inspection to wind up having anything looked at.
Yeah, I actually have an interesting story. So we actually bought a car. My boyfriend and I bought a car, or actually it was a van, and we had to get it inspected. And we had a bunch
in Jersey or here
in New Hampshire.
Okay,
and we had a bunch of work done on it, and to get to pass inspection. Well, some of it was to get to pass inspection, maybe. But anyway, we put some money into it, and they passed it. It also had to be inspected at that time, because we just bought the car. Well, it turns out, it was totally unsafe to drive,
but it passed inspection. Can you tell us more about it? Hang on,
absolutely.
We'll get into it here. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733, and you can take control of the airwaves and bring up whatever's on your mind here on Free Talk Live. More coming up.
If you're a sleep apnea sufferer who's on the go, go to your phone. Because if you give us a call right now, you'll be able to try the world's first portable mini CPAP device absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights. It's the Transcend Mini CPAP, an engineering marvel that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. Its unique design is so small and so light, you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. No more dragging around a big, bulky CPAP. Even better, now you can try Transcend absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights by calling minicpap.com, 1-800-768-3138. Transcend is FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. You can also add a battery pack that's as tiny as a deck of cards. So now you can enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. But don't wait. To receive your 10-night in-home trial, call minicpap.com now. 1-800-768-3138. That's 1-800-768-3138.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business. So make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial in, toll free, join us right here at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got Skype. So Skype on into the show here at username LRN.FM. With you in studio tonight, it's Ian,
Chris,
and Darryl.
Chris is here from thinkpenguin.com. We've been, you were just regaling us, or beginning to tell us the story of a vehicle inspection that didn't go quite as it seemed. Your van that you'd purchased somewhere had passed the inspection after you'd done some supposed repairs.
We basically paid them to do some repairs before the inspection, and to have them look it over. And we asked them what would it take to make this vehicle safe to drive,
right, roadworthy.
And, I mean that's what we basically, that was really our only objective, that and to pass inspection.
Sure.
And they gave us a bill and they told us what it would be, and we replaced some wheels, some tires basically, and some other stuff, and then they passed it. And
hooray! Now we're safe to drive.
Right. Now
the state has intervened.
We knew when we brought this car in that it was a bit rusty, and it didn't have much life left in it. But nonetheless, we figured it would be safe to drive at once some work was done to it, and it
they
was.
said it was.
Well, it would be. Let's put it that way. We ended up not while we were driving down the road, fortunately, but we were pulling the van out of the garage and the brakes snapped or something along those lines.
No, so you're pressing on the brakes and
the brake doesn't work. Yeah,
it just went through, like you went all the way to the floor.
I don't know exactly what happened because I wasn't the one driving.
Oh, okay.
But fortunately, we were pulling it out of the garage and we were able to stop the car. But the car is on a little bit of an incline.
Sure.
So I don't recall exactly how Bob managed to stop the car, or the van. Sorry. But nonetheless, he did successfully stop it. But yes, the brakes. If it had happened while we were driving,
that would have been really bad.
Right. That would have been really bad. And the
good thing the government's there to keep you safe.
I know,
Chris.
right? So we actually went and we took it to a different place.
Get a second opinion
to get to get it fixed and to see what they thought about the whole situation.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, this should never have passed inspection.
Wow.
And it totally unsafe to drive. And this work should have been done. And they should have picked up on it. It was
so
obvious.
Unsafe at any speed.
Yeah, basically. And
wow.
What was scary actually is that we'd driven it around quite a bit before we had this happen. But
right.
It was fairly recent after the inspection, so it was not like it. It was issues, I think, of like rust or something. It was something that like you could see or something.
They should have seen it.
Yeah, they would have seen it. It would have been obvious. Was what we were told.
Wow.
You couldn't miss it. So they intentionally overlooked a safety issue.
Wow, that's not good.
Yeah.
And you'll have to tell me off the air who the bad shop was. There's no reason to do it on the air, but just curious. Because we actually have a shop in town who accepts Bitcoin, and apparently they were the good shop that helped you.
Yes, they were. That's correct.
So, okay, good. Good story. So the point being that despite the government inspection requirement, that did nothing to actually keep you safe from what could have been a deadly mistake.
Yeah.
In this case. And I'm sure that's not the only story out there like that.
And the obvious reason they overlooked it was because we were basically paying them. And if they had told us the truth, we would never have had those repairs done.
Well, right. But I mean, if they overlook it, if they don't overlook it, then they get more money, right? Like, don't they have any incentive to be as stringent as possible?
Okay, so I'll explain this to you. Because I've done not car repairs, but computer repairs. Basically, if it's cheaper to buy a new computer, then
repair an old
one. And usually with computers, it's about half the cost. So if it's more than half the cost, then people will go out and they'll buy a new computer.
Right.
If you're a repair shop, you don't sell new computers. You just repair them. So same with cars. After a certain price point, they know that
you're going to say screw
you're
it.
going to not go through the repair. So they basically sold us enough to,
to get your business, to get a good amount of money.
But
not push you past that point of no return.
Exactly. Well, there are some repair shops, and I dealt with one of these when I lived in Pennsylvania, to where they would intentionally not fix something so that you would have to come
back in.
Oh, they all do that. I think they all do that. I'm convinced that they all do that.
So if you know more about it, maybe you work in the business, you want to comment, you can join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. But again, all you got to do is look at the numbers, look at the states that don't require inspections, look at the states that do require inspections, and you'll see. I don't remember exactly what it was, Darryl, but I know that we were in these hearings before, and there wasn't any noticeable difference between the states that required inspections and the ones who didn't, as far as cars careening off the road,
accident stuff along those lines. Plus, there's already something in statute to where if a police officer notices something that makes the vehicle just fundamentally unsafe,
like your wheel falling off.
If you're driving around with only 2 lug nuts instead of all 5,
they can cite you for that.
They can cite you. If you're driving around with a giant crack in the window, they can cite you for that. So, the whole thing of we have to have vehicle inspections, otherwise people will be driving around with a plastic bag for a door.
Well, it's not, I've seen plastic bags on people's broken windows before. I think that's probably legal, at least temporarily. I don't know, but
but I have heard people say that without vehicle inspections, people will drive around without doors.
If you want to risk it, why not?
But if you think about it, there's a certain model Jeep. I forget which one it is.
They don't have doors.
Jeep makes a vehicle that you can remove the doors from.
Yeah, you just hop in and hop out.
Yeah. Nobody complains about those things.
I mean, why shouldn't people be able to take those risks if they want to? I mean, you can get on a damn motorcycle.
Than you
can get on a motorcycle. I mean, that is the most.
Motorcycles don't have doors.
That is
maybe they should.
It's one of the riskiest things as far as like driving somewhere is concerned. I mean, I knew a guy who died because he, shortly after he had got a motorcycle.
I actually have a good explanation for this. This is not about safety. It's about appearances and looks.
Appearance of safety?
And no, not appearances of safety. Appearance of the vehicle itself.
I see.
Because there's a lot of elite individuals, elitist types, basically. People
they don't want to be
driving
driving on the road with those people with no doors.
And the same thing to where some people...
I actually had people tell me this.
That they don't want somebody having chickens in their residential neighborhood. Right. I don't care that you're getting your eggs basically for free and you're selling me eggs for cheaper than what I can buy them at the grocery store. Yeah. I don't want you having your chickens in this type of neighborhood.
So some snooty person has told you that
it's the criminalization of poverty is what it is.
Yeah, basically. That's why the Cash for Clunker thing went through, and then a lot of people don't realize that made it for several years, made it incredibly difficult for...
It dried up the market. It dried up the cheap used car market.
Because it removed those from the market completely.
Yeah.
If you traded in one of these clunkers...
They crushed them or something,
They had to crush it.
Yeah. That's not good.
And so then just took a bunch of cheap cars
Which means
out of the market.
Poor people can't afford the cars.
Poor people couldn't afford cars.
Toll-free number tonight, if you want to join us here, take control of the airwaves, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Stephen Hawking, the name a lot of people are familiar with. He's the supposedly great thinker who is very much crippled. I don't know if he's a quadriplegic, but he's basically can't even speak on his own. Well, he's always been respected as this great thinker, but just because somebody knows a thing or two about science doesn't necessarily mean they know anything about politics
or stairs
or how things ought to work in the world. And according to the story over at the independent.co.uk, Stephen Hawking says, without a world government, technology will destroy us. He says, Yeah.
What does that even mean? With governments and with a world government, then the government will destroy us. So I'll take my chances with technology.
Isn't it the government that is like created nuclear bombs and war?
Yeah.
Yes. Everything else.
Yep, that's right.
Yes.
The government is the greatest threat to your existence.
Hold on. Let me try to play devil's advocate here, or Hawking's advocate, if you will. If we have a world government, then we don't have to worry about the U.S. bombing Russia because they're no longer two separate countries. It's just one giant world government, and the one world government will never bomb itself.
Let's get into it, because I've got the story here, and we'll see what he actually has to say.
Am I close?
We'll find out. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. He's worried about that scary, scary technology. Is it going to destroy the human race? More coming up. Do you need a website for your blog or new business? It can be pretty intimidating on your own, and that's why Free Talk Live has partnered with HostGator, one of the top hosting companies. HostGator offers a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress, 24/7 over the phone or live chat tech support, and a very intuitive, user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation back into your hands. Go to HostGator.com/FTL and you'll get 50% off of their regular hosting prices. 50% off. HostGator.com/FTL. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin, but imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keenan, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, March 10th, 2017. Silver is trading at $16.93 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,198 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 1.5 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $1,248. Antiwar.com reports officials familiar with the situation say that the United States is deploying an additional 400 ground troops to Syria to fight against the Islamic State. The new figure includes the troops sent to Manbij and the artillery marines sent to Raqqa recently, as well as some other yet-to-be-deployed forces. All told, this will slightly more than double the number of U.S. troops in Syria as when President Trump took office. Estimates were of 300 or slightly more. The formal U.S. cap on troops in Syria is 503, which basic math will show they have since far exceeded. This is true in Iraq as well, where the Pentagon long deliberately lied about the official deployment to Iraq to stay under the cap by labeling thousands of troops as temporary but open-ended deployments. It does not appear that this is the total escalation proposed in the plan delivered by the Pentagon early last week, but may be the first stage. This also does not include the reserve deployment of over 1,000 troops to Kuwait, which could be accessed at will by the commanders in both Iraq and Syria for escalations. Details on the Pentagon's plan suggest that the goal is rapid progress against the Islamic State on the ground, particularly in Syria, though the rapidity appears purely optional since, particularly in the case of Iraq, officials say the deployments are basically permanent and the troops will stay long after the war is over anyhow. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the U.S. House passed a bill Thursday that will restrict the number and size of class action lawsuits, with one Democratic lawmaker accusing Republicans of giving the finger to Americans who have been injured by large corporations. The Fairness in Class Action Litigation Act passed the House 220 to 201. The legislation does not outlaw class action suits, but requires the trial judge to certify that each individual in the class of plaintiffs has suffered the same level of injury. Republicans argued that overly broad class action lawsuits allow trial lawyers to artificially increase the size of the class, allowing them to extort larger settlement offers and jury verdicts by making it appear that more people were affected than actually were. Representative Blake Farenthold of Texas said the purpose of a class action is to provide a fair means of evaluating similar meritorious claims, not to provide a way for lawyers to artificially inflate the size of a class to extort a larger settlement fee for themselves, siphoning money away from those actually injured and increasing prices for everyone. Democrats shot back the people injured by large corporations should be allowed to band together because forcing them to wage individual legal battles would give the advantage to corporations and their larger legal teams. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports several states said on Thursday they would move forward with a legal challenge to a revised executive order by President Donald Trump this week that temporarily bars the admission of refugees and some travelers from a group of Muslim-majority countries. The new travel ban, which is set to take effect on March 16th, changed and replaced a more sweeping ban issued on January 27th that caused chaos and protest at airports. The first order was hit by more than 24 lawsuits, including a challenge brought by Washington State and joined by Minnesota. In response to Washington's suit, U.S. District Judge James Robart in Seattle ordered an emergency halt to the policy last month. That ruling was upheld by an appeals court in San Francisco. Washington State Attorney General Robert Ferguson said on Thursday he planned to ask Robart to confirm his ruling would also apply to Trump's revised order, which would halt it from being implemented. Ferguson told a news conference the new order harmed a smaller group of individuals, but that would not affect the state's ability to challenge it in court. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This week, the Forest Service rolled out a brand new Smokey the Bear campaign in which the popular mascot burns to death. They say they hope the shocking turn will get people serious about preventing forest fires for once. The new campaign depicts Smokey the Bear noticing a family leave a flame unattended. Before he can put it out, the entire forest is consumed and Smokey dies in agony while trying to fight the blaze. Despite educating the public for over 70 years, the Forest Service says wildfires have only gotten worse and it was time to take their warnings to the next level. The new ads aim to show that if Smokey the Bear can be killed by the very type of fire he works so tirelessly to prevent, it could happen to anyone at any time. So what's next for the long-running campaign? Well, now that their primary spokesperson is out of the picture, the Ad Council says the PSAs will shift focus to a new character named Little Brian. He's the boy whose family caused the fire in the first place, and he's grappling with crippling guilt over Smokey's death.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the program. You, of course, can take control of the airwaves. You can bring up anything that you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. With you in studio tonight, it's Ian,
Chris,
and Darryl.
Coming up, we're going to get into the story about Stephen Hawking, who apparently wants to have a world government in order to save us from technology. We'll get into it here in a few moments. But first, to your phone calls and thoughts. Troy is in Virginia on the amp lines. Hello, Troy. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Troy.
I had a similar conversation recently regarding state inspections, and here in Virginia, I've had people that are really thorough, and they try to rip you off. They really try to charge you for simple repairs. And I've had other people that are less than thorough, and I just feel like when you have people that are less than thorough and they're not checking these things, because a lot of people do count on somebody to check their vehicles.
Yeah.
I try to take responsibility, stay on top of my maintenance personally, especially some people are in the habit of, carrying cargo that the state might not approve of. It behooves you to, make sure all your lights are working.
Obviously.
But also, I knew a place, and I know a lot of people, not everybody does this, but there are some places where you could drop a registration and cash in an envelope under a door and come back the next day and, your inspection sticker is on there.
Oh, yeah.
So when things like that go on, it kind of avoids even despite the best intentions, bad things still happen.
Right, but isn't that really just indicative of anything that the government tries to regulate? Because there are places out in the middle of the country where you can go, shove a $20 bill in a knot of a tree. You go back the next day and there's a bottle of moonshine sitting at the base of the tree.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean,
So,
the point is, right, like this whole inspection scheme is supposed to keep dangerous cars off the road, but obviously somebody who has a dangerous car but knows how to grease the right wheels, so to speak, they're going to
Everybody that knows a guy is going to be able to get around any prohibition or regulation that exists.
The state, of course, would argue that they have a Department of Safety inspector who is going around and trying to catch these dastardly automotive technicians who are on the take from these people with uninspected cars.
Right, but
that doesn't work.
At least one of them is getting their palms greased.
Right, who's watching the watchers?
And there's other ways to get around these things too, like out-of-state license plates and register in other states, and maybe a state that doesn't require inspection.
Right, and a lot of states try to close those loopholes, but there's always a way around. No matter how big or small the loophole is, there's always a way to get through it.
There always is. And out here, when you fail, if you take it and they fail you, you get a rejection sticker on your windshield. And you can.
That's what happens in New Hampshire. They put a clear sticker.
Oh, really?
Okay. Well, you've got 2 weeks to get the repairs done or let the shop do it, and they'll only charge you $1 to reinspect. This is very considerate of them.
After you've given them $1,000, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. No, I mean, usually I just bring it home and fix it myself if they do find anything. But
wow.
I know somebody a couple years ago had a vehicle that had failed the inspection, so they had the clear sticker. They just drove around with a pack of sticky notes, and whenever they saw, there's a cop sitting up, they would just then put sticky notes of the appropriate color behind the clear sticker so that driving past, it looked like it was the official inspection sticker.
That's pretty smart. Hey, Troy, anything else you want to share?
No, that's it.
Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate hearing from you. Let's go to, before we get to Stephen Hawking, Ralph is on the line in New Jersey. You're on Free Talk.
Stephen Hawking might be easier to understand.
I know Stephen Hawking, and for that matter, Chris Cantwell, too, would be easy to understand. But that being said, the long shadow cast by Obama, what exactly is the Obama legacy? Off the top of my head, I can think of two people that are the legacy of Obama. That animal who was apprehended by the police, or who is in police custody for making bomb, bogus bomb threats or bomb hoaxes, who goes by the name Juan Thompson from St. Louis, Missouri. Okay,
I'm not familiar with this one.
You can't really blame him for the thing that he does against Jewish people. There is
hold on a second. Wait, let me just make sure I understood you there. You said there was some guy calling in bomb threats, and he's from Missouri. You said you can't blame him for calling in bomb threats against Jewish people?
Right. No, because according to him,
are you anti-Jew as well as being anti-black?
No, that's Obama right there. Okay, the fact that
I'm asking about you.
No, I'm not.
Hold on. Well, are you saying that you wait? It sounded to me, and again, there is a language barrier here. It sounded to me like you said you can't blame someone for calling in bomb threats against Jewish centers.
Number one, he doesn't take responsibility for his own action.
Wait, who are you talking about? The guy calling in the bomb threat or Barack Obama?
That's correct. That's correct. Both of them. Okay, they don't take responsibility for their own action. Okay.
Do you or do you not support bomb threats?
I thought Barack Obama took responsibility for the bombs and missiles that he had the military drop. Like, what was it, every 20 minutes during his entire presidency?
How did he take responsibility for that?
Because he was commander-in-chief. He never told the military stop doing it.
Right. But the anti-Semitism sweeping all across the country.
Hold on, Ralph. Hold on. I didn't get a straight answer out of you. But before we do that, how is Barack Obama taking responsibility simply by being commander-in-chief? I mean, being responsible would mean...
By ordering the strikes to happen?
Yeah, but being responsible would mean, like, making things right? Like, meaning that...
he took responsibility. He said, I'm the president, and we're dropping bombs.
There was no punishment for him. Okay, so maybe he took responsibility, but there was no actual fallout for him personally for killing innocent people. Like, so there was no real responsibility that was actually applied to him in any meaningful way.
He took credit.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that the correct term?
Yeah, I would say that's more accurate. So Ralph, can you clarify? Do you support bomb threats against Jewish people?
No, I do not.
Okay, that's good.
Ever. No,
okay,
I do not. Ever,
I misunderstood you then.
And I love Israel, and I love my brothers and sisters who happens to be Hebrew or Jewish.
Do you love black Jews?
Okay. Well, they are racist. The black Jews, they are racist. That I can tell you. Okay?
How many black Jews do you know to be able to make the judgment that they're all racist?
Are you kidding me?
You're the one that said black Jews are racist. I'm wanting to know how you know that.
They are anti-white. They are anti-white.
How many black Jews have you met to be able to make this judgment?
They do not like to believe that white people can be Jewish.
What?
They don't like to believe that. Okay, but that being said, the anti-Semitism sweeping across our country right now.
I've met one person, not face-to-face, but I've interacted with one person named Ralph in New Jersey. I know enough about Ralph in New Jersey to know that this particular Ralph in New Jersey is pretty much a bigot. I'm not going to say that everybody named Ralph or everybody from New Jersey is a bigot.
He's pretty much, and also he's from the Philippines. So, I mean, he's pretty much a racist against black people is what we've found out. But apparently he supports Jewish people, although not the black Jews.
Right.
So we'll see if we can iron this out here with Ralph. Coming up here in moments, you can take control of the airwaves, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And Stephen Hawking says he wants to have a world government. Why? We'll tell you about that coming up on Free Talk Live.
Warning. If you've recently declared bankruptcy, you're going to want to cover your ears. Because there's an alternative to bankruptcy, and it could be better than you'd ever think possible. But if you've already declared bankruptcy and have missed this opportunity, you'll want to cover your ears now. Here it is. Right now, the company that has resolved more credit card debt than anyone in the U.S. may be able to settle your debt, too. You could resolve your debt with one low monthly program payment. If you call right now and qualify, Freedom Debt Relief will show you how low your monthly program payment could be for free. Call now, 1-800-660-1297. That's 1-800-660-1297. If you're struggling with debt, this could be your answer. And the bigger your debt, the more money you could save. To find out for free how much of your hard-earned money Freedom Debt Relief could help you save, call now, 1-800-660-1297. 1-800-660-1297. 1-800-660-1297.
Attention investors, 2017 is the year of Trump, and financial markets are rising at all-time highs. But economic uncertainty may be greater than after any election in our lifetime. And as retirement approaches, there's little time to recover your losses. You need to hedge against uncertainty. That means transferring part of your retirement to physical gold and silver stored where you can actually hold it in your hand and get it fast in any disaster. It's a perfect time to buy. Prices are low and expected to climb. Make Augusta Precious Metals your personal gold and silver provider. Augusta cares for your financial position and helps you make good decisions. And they're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. Get Augusta's free gold and silver IRA guide. What you learn could help you weather any economic storm. There's no obligation. Just call toll-free. Call 855-222-5857. That's 855-222-5857. Again, 855-222-5857. Trust Augusta. Protect your retirement today.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, dial toll free. Join us right here. Our number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Well, I'm sorry, gentlemen, we do not get to dig further into the bigotry of one Ralph in New Jersey.
Yay!
He has hung up the phone.
Really?
So I'm sorry about that if you were looking forward to hearing more of his bigoted views. You'll have to wait till tomorrow night when he'll probably call back. Actually, he probably won't get in tomorrow because it'll be Saturday. Anyway, he'll call again. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And you can Skype in at username lrn.fm. If you've been thinking about starting up a website, or maybe you already have a website but you want to move it, HostGator is one of the top hosting companies out there, and they've got a special offer for you as a Free Talk Live listener. What you do is you go to hostgator.com/FTL, and that'll get you 50% off of their regular prices. That's hostgator.com/FTL. They know that starting up a website or blog for the first time can be an intimidating process, but they make it easy with a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress. as well as 24/7 over the phone or live chat tech support. And there's also a very intuitive and user-friendly control panel, as well as 99.99% uptime rating over at HostGator.com/FTL. Get your 50% off because you're a Free Talk Live listener at HostGator.com/FTL. As we continue here, you can take control of the airwaves. Bring up anything you want. I mentioned we got Stephen Hawking here, not in the studio or online, but in an article.
It would be pretty cool if Stephen Hawking called Free Talk Live.
I don't know if it would be that cool. He doesn't seem like a real cool guy. He's here advocating for world government. In this story from The Independent, Stephen Hawking has warned that technology needs to be controlled in order to prevent it from destroying the human race. The world-renowned physicist, who has spoken out about the dangers of artificial intelligence in the past, which we've reported on that, believes that we need to establish a way of identifying threats quickly before they have a chance to escalate. He told thetimes.co.uk, he told them, quote, "Since civilization began, aggression has been useful inasmuch as it has definite survival advantages. It is hardwired into our genes by Darwinian evolution. Now, however, technology has advanced at such a pace that this aggression may destroy us all by nuclear or biological war. We need to control this inherited instinct by our logic and reason." So somehow he thinks that you're going to control the instinct of aggression that people have by creating a world government? He goes on to say he suggests that some form of world government could be ideal for the job, but would itself create more problems. He says, but that might become a tyranny. All this may sound a bit doom-laden, but I am an optimist. I think the human race will rise to meet these challenges. In a Reddit AMA...
Hold on, I'm super confused. So he's saying that he thinks we need a one-world government to protect us from a bunch of other governments.
The dangers of technology.
But one world government would have tyranny as opposed to a bunch of governments that also have some level of tyranny?
Well, he's saying it might become a tyranny. So maybe he's thinking you can sculpt this one world government in a way that won't be an authoritarian dictatorship or completely lord over people's lives.
Did he use the words artificial intelligence or AI?
I don't know. Yes, the real risk with AI, he says, isn't malice but competence.
Like, we haven't really made any progress in that field. Like,
what, in AI?
Yeah, we have in pattern recognition, but not in true AI.
Meaning the ability to pass the Turing test, for instance, and be able to, essentially pass as a human being.
Wasn't there that thing? I forget the name of it, but they didn't really give it a lot of instructions on chess, and it learned chess and then wound up beating like the best chess player in the world.
Is that Deep Blue?
No, something newer.
Something newer than
Blue, they actually coded like, here are all the rules. Here's how you play. This, it was just like,
that's not even true AI.
Here's chess pieces, and then it wound up learning chess.
That would be AI, right? Where it can kind of learn on its own? Define AI for us.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm the best person to do it. But it's I would assume it would be something along the lines of like self-learning as opposed to pattern recognition, where if you have enough data, you can basically, do stuff that looks like AI, but it's not really AI.
Right. So pattern recognition when it comes to a chessboard would be looking at thousands of different chess games and seeing how people tend to play.
It can't do anything else, basically. It can only do this one thing.
But AI would be taking information and making decisions that aren't based on patterns.
Yeah, analyzing it and then coming to some sort of conclusion that is not based off of something that was programmed.
So this, I just pulled up an article from QZ.com. It was a computer scientist at the University College of London who published his master thesis, which demonstrated a machine learning system he called Giraffe that learned how to play master-level chess in 72 hours.
That's pretty impressive.
But can't do anything else. See, that's the whole problem. If it's not really AI, if it can only do one thing.
One thing.
Right.
Okay.
So, quote, giraffe derives its playing strength not from being able to see very far ahead, but from being able to evaluate tricky positions accurately and understanding complicated position concepts that are intuitive to humans but elusive to chess machines. So I think it's definitely showing some kind of signs of progress towards AI. Even if this isn't AI, it shows some kind of
it's a step in the right
direction.
towards
it. But it might be more like having eyes as opposed to artificial intelligence. It's like, I mean, it's a critical function maybe to...
We're going to see it in our lifetime. I mean, AI is likely going to happen in our lifetime. I mean, certainly...
I don't know.
Well, obviously we don't know, right? But
I mean,
Ray Kurzweil, of course, has predicted famously that
I know I'm a little bit more skeptical because we haven't really seen any true AI advancements.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have anything to base it on. Like, we have awesome pattern recognition now. I mean, if you make a phone call or you have a bot that calls you and you're on the phone, you can ask it questions. But again, that's all pattern recognition.
Sure,
both the voice recognition and actually figuring out like what the question is you're asking it.
Well, aren't those things important to learning, right? Like, I mean, obviously children do this at some point, right? They recognize patterns.
Sure, but it's not AI.
No, I understand.
Right,
what you're
because
saying.
children are human, and computers are not. But I think the point Ian is making is that humans wind up. We just learn patterns as well and sort of process them different than
until
a
you
computer
can
will.
learn to critically think, until you can learn to do other things.
But what is critical thinking other than calculating various patterns that you have learned?
Well, yeah, now we're getting into the question of are we actually, do we have free will, or are we just doing what we're programmed to do by patterns?
Darryl, I think the difference is AI might rely on pattern recognition, but it's not AI in and of itself.
I'm still conversation
confused here.
The fact is, we're on the cusp of this. How long it's going to take to get there,
I don't know that we
remains
are.
to be seen.
I think we could have legitimate AI and Chris would be like, nope, they're just recognizing patterns and processing.
855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. When the machines can upgrade themselves and upgrade their own software, that might be an indication that we're there.
My
it's Free
phone can
Talk
upgrade
Live.
things.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Are you looking to become more self-sufficient? Then you need to have your own energy source. The SolarArc EMP hardened generator is automatic, maintenance-free, and reduces your monthly electric bill. You can also take it off-grid when you go camping. Contact PortableSolarLLC.com or call for details at 972-575-8875 today. Portable Solar LLC gives you everything you need to start using solar energy in less than 1 hour. SolarArc EMP hardened solar generator energy insurance for your family or business. Call Portable Solar LLC today.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers, and some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to agoristhosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's AGORIST, hosting.com.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Angioprim can unclog blocked arteries and improve blood flow in all parts of your body. Angioprim is oral chelation. Easy, simple, liquid oral chelation. You take it with juice before breakfast and forget about it. Angioprim works fast, unlike old-fashioned chelation that takes hours. Just log on to angioprim.com. That's Angioprim, ANGIOPRIM, angioprim.com. Angioprim users say they have more energy, more strength, more endurance. Increased circulation and blood flow will make all your body parts work better. Log on to angioprim.com to get more information on how you can get started and start feeling better, having fun, and doing more again. Lots more. Talk to a trained Angioprim consultant. Call Angioprim toll-free at 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221. Or log on for complete information. Angioprim.com. That's Angioprim.com. Find out how Angioprim can work for you. Get the facts about Angioprim at Angioprim.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. What is artificial intelligence? Is it something that we're on the cusp of right now, or is it way off into the future? Chris from thinkpenguin.com is a little more skeptical. I'm saying we're probably getting pretty close to it. We're going to see it in our lifetimes. Darryl, I don't think you've necessarily weighed in on where we are at.
Because I don't really know. I'm not a computer guy, so I don't know.
Yeah, this is more my background, I think.
We might already have it. And I really don't know. There's an article from Vox.
I'm not an expert in AI, so
there's an article from Vox that lists 3 different types of AI.
Let's get into that. Yeah. Let's get into that coming up here in a moment. Also, I want to remind you that because you need to get stuff for life, you can go and do it over at shop.freetalklive.com and help Free Talk Live at the same time, because you're going to likely do online shopping at places like Amazon. There's Amazon Canada, Amazon US, Amazon UK. You just click into the right Amazon for you, order what you need, or order what you want, and Free Talk Live will get a portion of the purchase price when you do that through shop.freetalklive.com. Makes a big difference for us. Thanks for taking that extra moment and going to shop.freetalklive.com. Back to AI in a moment, but first, someone who has absolute zero experience with computers, Sarah in Albuquerque.
How do we know Sarah's not actually an AI?
That would be really amazing. Go ahead, Sarah. What's on your mind tonight?
Yes, I am not into computers. Believe me, I gave up my emails. I used to have them.
But are you a computer?
I know how to use one in the library, if I have to. But it's but I don't have one with me.
Right, but that doesn't answer the question of whether or not you actually are a computer.
Sarah, I thought you said you had a cell phone.
She has an Obama phone.
Yeah, it's a cell phone.
Okay, well, that's a computer.
Yeah,
no, it's not a smartphone.
Oh, yeah.
It's still a computer.
There's still a computer chip in a dumb phone.
Okay, well, based on that, the first computer, the ENIAC, was just a glorified calculator, so every calculator is a computer?
Yeah, probably. Or, well, I mean, by what you were talking about, yeah.
I wanted to bring up that there was a study done that the colored, the ethnic people, more like the African Americans and dark people, are prone to get hit by a car and hurt and killed more than the lighter people or the white people. And I think,
interesting. I've never heard that before.
What? I believe it. You know what I mean? Because it must be the African Americans that did this study, why would they lie about something like that? There's no reason to lie, you know? So in other words, if they get like 100 people that, let's say, got hit by cars and hurt or killed, you know, they would just count the ones that are African Americans or dark, colored, ethnic. And it turns out the percentage-wise, more of them got hurt, you know?
Now, do you know what the percentage was? And is this nationwide? Is this global? Is this just in Albuquerque?
I just found a report from the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, report from 1999 to 2004. And let me take a look and see actually what they say.
Sarah, where are your numbers coming from? Are they nationwide? Are they New Mexico only? Where are they from?
Well, you know what? It was announced on the NPR News, like a real quick blurb. So I'm thinking out like maybe national average.
And what was it that they said as far as, any speculation as to why that might be the case? And was it a large, percentage difference?
Well, the thing is that our minds, they value the colored people as less valuable. You know what I mean?
That's ridiculous.
Okay,
well,
so I'm looking at the numbers here. I'm looking at the numbers. In the year 2000, and again, this study was done from 99 through 2004.
Okay.
Percentage of total population, 69%. And hold on, is this the people hit by cars or just percentage of population? Roughly 70% of the population was white, not Hispanic. So that's just population, not how many were hit by cars.
Let's see if you can get more info.
I'll see if I can find another table.
That's fine. The toll-free number here, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE. So I guess if I were to speculate on this, again, we're just going on what you said, Sarah. A lot of times the things you say turn out to not be entirely true. So we're just going to go ahead and take what you said at face value and believe that it's true.
So they do have a chart here, and they show total numbers of people by ethnicity, and then
that have been involved in car accidents,
right?
That were like the victims, not in the car.
Resulted motor vehicle crash deaths as percentage of all deaths, all ages combined.
Okay, so this includes people who were struck by a car while on the street, or in another car while struck by a car. This includes all of those things. Is what you're saying?
Presumably, motor vehicle crash deaths.
Yeah.
As percentage of all deaths.
Got it.
Less than 2% of all deaths were motor vehicle for whites that were not Hispanic. A total of 31,000 people. For non-Hispanic blacks, just a slightly higher percentage of overall deaths, but a much smaller number of 5,200. Native Americans, much higher percentage, about 7%, but less than 850. So percentage-wise, but the total number, white people are more likely to wind up getting hit by a car or die from a car crash.
Because there's more of them.
There's more of them, but it is an overall smaller percentage of the total deaths. Now, I'm sure if you looked at other stuff, white people are probably more likely to die from skydiving accidents gone wrong.
Yeah. So basically, what she's saying sounds like it might be correct.
It might be correct, but again, you're like picking statistics.
Yeah. It comes off almost as like this somebody's got an agenda behind it.
Yeah, as though someone's choosing a victim in a car accident. It's ridiculous.
I could see there being some truth behind it, but only because of probably. Maybe they, darker skin maybe blends into the road more, or I don't know, something along those lines.
White men are much more likely to wind up being killed as the driver than white women.
There could also be some statistics in there, like in relation to vehicles people drive. There's statistical,
maybe I don't know,
poverty.
There's also
having safe cars.
People with no formal education.
Hold on, Sarah. What's that, Darryl?
People with no formal education are more likely to wind up dying in an automobile accident than somebody that graduated from grad school.
Which goes back to you have a larger percentage of black people or darker people with darker color skin
more likely to be poor, more likely to have poorer cars,
right,
more dangerous cars, perhaps, maybe more likely to be walking on the street in general without a car entirely.
Sure.
Sarah, I think that the idea that it's somehow someone's choosing a victim of a car accident is pretty ridiculous. But go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, what I'm saying is that the general mentality is that people have been conditioned in this culture, like I was saying, that the people of color have less value because they're the ones that always get the police shootings, the police beatings. The black schools get the less money, the less, the more they get the worst of pretty much everything.
Just because there are some racist cops, just because there are some racist people in government, I mean, I'm not going to say racism is gone. It's not. It's definitely still out there. But just because there are some racists out there doesn't mean that people overall are conditioned to look at black people as somehow differently. I think that there's less racism over time in general. I think that more people are coming to the understanding that we're all just human beings. And thank you for the call, Sarah. We're all just humans, and we're individuals, and we should be judged individually based on our beliefs and the things that we do.
And I think this call from Sarah positively confirms that she is not an AI.
How's that?
Well, there wasn't really much intelligence to that telephone call, much less any artificial intelligence.
All right, there's more on the way here. 855, 450 free. Speaking of AI, we got to get back into you had the three different kinds.
Three types of AI.
We'll talk about that. And Stephen Hawking wants to have a world government, but he does admit it could be a tyranny, so he wants to make it real careful like. This is Free Talk Live, 855 450 free. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
A funny thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Modern advertisers have been trained to look for trackability in their advertising, and web search ads are great for that. They also help you get the consumer that's looking for products like yours in the moment. But they're expensive, and they do nothing to convince people to try your product segment in the first place. If you're a local advertiser, contact this station. If you can use national exposure, Free Talk Live's on more than 150 stations, and we can help advertisers with little budgets and big ones. Send me an email, mark@freetalklive.com. It's mark@freetalklive.com.
Extendivite really works. Just listen to what some people have to say.
Several years ago, I was developing a very severe situation. I called it my flippy heart. It was doing not good things, and I did not want to go to a medical doctor because I just knew they would give me a cover-up pill. I didn't want to get onto that sort of thing at all. When I learned it was garlic and cayenne is a healer. It is a wonderful herb. I said, I think I'm onto something here. I'll tell you, I wouldn't be without it. It did wonderful things for me.
Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid. Call now. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Overburdened with material comforts, America's wealthy can expect another disappointing holiday this year. As Brian Scott tells us, the rich will simply be buying too many things to experience the true meaning of Christmas.
All across the country, those at the top of the economic ladder are denied a privilege that the poorest of the poor take for granted. Rather than fall victim to the rampant consumerism that seems to increase each year, the poor find meaningful joy in simple Christmas traditions, like singing carols to keep warm and hugging relatives who have not yet died. At stores like these, the spiritually bereft must scramble for popular holiday toys in a vain attempt to duplicate the Christmas-time happiness that the impoverished enjoy.
Poor people are grateful for just a roof over their heads or something to eat. My wife and I are both lawyers, so that's not enough for us. Certainly hope poor people don't take what they don't have for granted.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You can join us here on the radio. The toll-free number for you if you want to get in. You need to do it now, for tonight at least. 855-450 free. Can't call tonight? No problem. We're here 7 nights a week. And, of course, you can join us any old time you want to. And don't forget, you can check out more of Chris over at thinkpenguin.com. Well, I mean, you're not blogging over there, Chris, but you've got stuff that you sell. Lots of cool electronics.
We have a little blog. But
is there a blog there?
Yeah, it's mostly just events that we're attending and things of that nature.
You guys are always going to, like, Linux conferences and things like that.
Yeah, a lot of different types of hacker conferences. It's got some information on, like, FCC-related issues, Yoma 68 kind of stuff.
What's coming up next for you guys?
As far as events, I think Libre Planet. Yeah, Libre Planet's next.
Libre Planet?
Yeah, Libre.
Is that like an international hacker conference? What is
it? Yeah, pretty much. It's
like
no, it's actually a small conference in Boston.
Boston,
Cambridge.
You don't have to go too far for this
MIT. One. No,
it's an easy
we
one.
don't. Yeah, it is an easy one.
Except for driving in Boston, which is not so great. But
yeah, that's true.
ThinkPenguin.com. You get some. You need some hardware, computer hardware, some routers, laptops, desktop computers,
anything
Linux, all Linux based.
Yep,
good stuff. ThinkPenguin.com. As we go to your calls and thoughts, we got Ademo Freeman on the line from jail. Hey, Ademo, what's up, dude?
Same stuff, different day here in the life of jail. You know, the world in here goes about as slow as can be and about 20 years back in time, maybe even 30 or 40 in this place, but that's about it.
It sure does. Now, for listeners who might just be tuning in, you were arrested in Lebanon, Ohio, as you were driving. Cops pulled you over, allegedly for a burnout taillight. They then proceeded to search your car on the claim that they smelled marijuana, which, you know, they claim.
Yeah, which was all BS. He didn't ever say that until I handed him my Colorado ID.
Really?
That's what tipped it. That's what started it all. Yeah, and he wouldn't answer my questions, which I couldn't get on the video before starting to record, about why he pulled me over until after he pulled all that line. So yeah, it's a pretty, it's your textbook fishing expedition. Only this guy got lucky as heck and busted the founder of Cop Lock with a backpack full of weed.
Which was allegedly, yours, but we don't know whose it was. It was in apparently it was allegedly in a suitcase that they busted open at some point during the search, and they've since charged you with 3 felony counts of class 3, 2 class 3s, I think, and 1 class 5.
Yeah, 2 class 3s, 2 F5s. 2 of them, the 3s are possessions, and the 5 is a trafficking.
And is 5 more severe than 3? I don't remember. I remember it.
No, 3s are more severe than 5.
Okay, that's a strange thing that the possession charges would be more severe than a traffic.
Yeah, especially in a state that has allegedly medical marijuana, and I am a medical marijuana card holder in Colorado.
So you are going to be taking this to trial, presumably, right? You've got a lawyer, Virgil Viduva from Cell 411 has, I believe, stepped up and gotten you some legal representation. There's obviously only so much you can talk about publicly based on the situation.
I would say that this game is just getting started, and so, in all likelihood, it'll probably end up in a courtroom. I just don't. I feel that the state has a passion to come after me. especially since, like, the prosecutor wants to see what the police want. You know what all the police would like to do with me is keep me in a cage. So,
sure.
That's where that's at. Right now, I'm more or less focused on living my day in, day out life here in jail and to the max. I've been meditating and working out, which are two things that really help me. But more importantly, my newest project is writing the diary of a drug war victim. So I keep like a log and a daily dose of my activities and my things that go on here that I think could really help shed some light to what people don't understand about drug war victims like myself.
Yeah, and you've got a long history of being a drug war victim. This isn't your first rodeo, so to speak. It was many years ago, like a decade now, where...
Yeah, it's probably almost 15 years now, yeah. So I was 20, I was arrested for, allegedly, or not allegedly, for possessing marijuana in Wisconsin. And I've written that in my diary just to say that it seems that I'm destined to have this fight, there is no trafficking there's a trafficking allegation against me, but that doesn't hold any merit. I'm a medical patient, and these things are absurd. But it just seems that no matter if I try to do anything in this field of marijuana, I end up in a courtroom or behind bars. So I guess my role in this world is to advocate the wrongs.
I'm going to ask a question from a legal perspective of I understand that you've got the medical marijuana card or therapeutic cannabis, whatever it's called, but don't most states that have those programs also put limits on how much of something one can possess?
There are. Every state's a little different. Colorado goes by plants, and Ohio's laws are ridiculous. The people that they say can have medical marijuana here can't even get it because the state hasn't made the processes or the people who can make it or grow it or get it available. They've passed their deadlines. It's absurd. The voters clearly want it. And, a jury nullification or a logic, truthful defense, is probably my best bet.
Yeah, there have been some people who've been skeptical of that given the conservative nature, apparently, of the area of Ohio and just Ohio in general. But ultimately, it's still the jury is your best bet. I mean, you've had some good luck with juries.
Are you able to argue jury nullification in?
Probably not.
I mean, I don't know what they're able to do, but I know that you guys know that I'll say whatever I want in a courtroom.
Now,
that's for sure.
If it's the attorney, he'll be restricted on what he can say. But if you're going to defend yourself, then you'll likely have more leeway.
Yeah, that's still all up in the air, really, on what's going to happen. Like I said, this is so early that I'm not really worried about the case that far along right now. I'm more focused on, getting through every single day. I live in a dorm right now with 100 people. This is the jail, the jail that I've been in with the most, criminals. That actually have violence or victims in their nature. There's a handful of murderers. My new bunkie today is legally insane. He just moved in, so that's always nice that I'll get to sleep with one eye open. And we don't even have doors on our cells, so they make a big point about putting nonviolent people with nonviolent people. But I've only found 3 people down here that have nonviolent charges or don't have any violent charges in their history. And so... But we don't even have doors on our cells, so they say they put you guys apart, but any of these violent people could just walk into my room. Yet it's not any different than the outside. I'm responsible for protecting myself. Anyways, it's just the fallacies that they try to say that they are protecting you here, just like they do on the outside. It's these government-run institutions with their.
But they've taken away your ability to defend yourself. How can you even make that claim that you are responsible for yourself at that point?
Well, I'm just saying is if a murderer decides to run in my room and try to grab my commissary or beat me up for something, whatever, I mean, it's just on me. I'm going to still be waiting for the cops to show up just like you are on the outside. Maybe my cops here will show up a little sooner than your cops out there. But, I don't have any actual defense tools at my, side or anything like that. I'm not allowed to carry a firearm, but, whatever I'd have to do, tuck and roll, run, hide, swing, punch, is what I'd have to do.
I sent you a letter. I don't know where the best place to go to point people to give your mailing address is, Ademo, and I doubt you know because you're in a cage and you don't have access.
I heard someone put together a Facebook event. I think it was Josh Hawkins that has some of that information more recently. But I have gotten a few letters, more so this week. I really appreciate it. I try to write back everyone when I can, or send the letters out so that they can be mailed without me having to spend so much money on commissary here, which is something I'm trying to do, is limit my, funding of these institutions.
Well, I appreciate you calling in, even though obviously we're going to be paying the bill and they're going to get a piece of that. But it's good to talk to you. It's good to hear from you on the inside. I know some people had said that you were seeming despondent recently, and you sound like you're doing okay, all things considered. At least that's how you sound.
All things considered, I ain't gonna lie. I've been here about a month as of yesterday.
Wow.
And the first 2 weeks were really rough. And there's mostly because of my loss of being with my loved ones and things like that. But plus the back and forth and trying to get your finances straight, and the life on the outside world, is cop block running, is things going on, and so those things are a little difficult. And then just the not knowing, that's the biggest punishment, or whatever, the torture, I would say, that they do to you. Is like, if justice was so clear, you'd check in and they'd say, well, this crime gives you 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, 2 years, whatever. But they like to beat you down with being in this cage for 4 or 5 months. And like I was joking, even in the second week, I was willing to sign a confession that I shot JFK. Just tell me how much time I got to do.
Right. Instead, they hold it over your head, and you've been in there a month already. Who knows how long it's going to be before the trial? And then at the trial, it could be a decade plus in prison for this stuff. Ademo, we're out of time for tonight. I'm going to put you on hold. Talk to you off the air here in just a moment. And I'm going to dig up the address. I'll put it on our Facebook page, and we'll figure out there's going to be some sort of website or something we can do to, like Free Ross, sort of for Ademo. We'll see you tomorrow night online. In the meantime, freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
The Freedom Paradox is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, March 10th, 2017. Silver is trading at $16.93 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,198 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 1.5 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $1,248. Antiwar.com reports officials familiar with the situation say that the United States is deploying an additional 400 ground troops to Syria to fight against the Islamic State. The new figure includes the troops sent to Manbij and the artillery marines sent to Raqqa recently, as well as some other yet-to-be-deployed forces. All told, this will slightly more than double the number of U.S. troops in Syria as when President Trump took office. Estimates were of 300 or slightly more. The formal U.S. cap on troops in Syria is 503, which basic math will show they have since far exceeded. This is true in Iraq as well, where the Pentagon long deliberately lied about the official deployment to Iraq to stay under the cap by labeling thousands of troops as temporary but open-ended deployments. It does not appear that this is the total escalation proposed in the plan delivered by the Pentagon early last week, but may be the first stage. This also does not include the reserve deployment of over 1,000 troops to Kuwait, which could be accessed at will by the commanders in both Iraq and Syria for escalations. Details on the Pentagon's plan suggest that the goal is rapid progress against the Islamic State on the ground, particularly in Syria, though the rapidity appears purely optional since, particularly in the case of Iraq, officials say the deployments are basically permanent and the troops will stay long after the war is over anyhow. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the U.S. House passed a bill Thursday that will restrict the number and size of class action lawsuits, with one Democratic lawmaker accusing Republicans of giving the finger to Americans who have been injured by large corporations. The Fairness in Class Action Litigation Act passed the House 220 to 201. The legislation does not outlaw class action suits, but requires the trial judge to certify that each individual in the class of plaintiffs has suffered the same level of injury. Republicans argued that overly broad class action lawsuits allow trial lawyers to artificially increase the size of the class, allowing them to extort larger settlement offers and jury verdicts by making it appear that more people were affected than actually were. Representative Blake Farenthold of Texas said the purpose of a class action is to provide a fair means of evaluating similar meritorious claims, not to provide a way for lawyers to artificially inflate the size of a class to extort a larger settlement fee for themselves, siphoning money away from those actually injured and increasing prices for everyone. Democrats shot back that people injured by large corporations should be allowed to band together because forcing them to wage individual legal battles would give the advantage to corporations and their larger legal teams. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports several states said on Thursday they would move forward with a legal challenge to a revised executive order by President Donald Trump this week that temporarily bars the admission of refugees and some travelers from a group of Muslim-majority countries. The new travel ban, which is set to take effect on March 16th, changed and replaced a more sweeping ban issued on January 27th that caused chaos and protest at airports. The first order was hit by more than 24 lawsuits, including a challenge brought by Washington State and joined by Minnesota. In response to Washington's suit, U.S. District Judge James Robart in Seattle ordered an emergency halt to the policy last month. That ruling was upheld by an appeals court in San Francisco. Washington State Attorney General Robert Ferguson said on Thursday he planned to ask Robart to confirm his ruling would also apply to Trump's revised order, which would halt it from being implemented. Ferguson told a news conference the new order harmed a smaller group of individuals, but that would not affect the state's ability to challenge it in court. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Jode Cress Beckler. From claim jumpers to politicians to coyotes, the straight shooter that shook up the presidential race is taking them all on and licking them good.
Hello, Jode.
Who and what's behind these potato monkey shines?
Well, these scientists are trying to mass-produce potatoes that are more resistant to disease, but they're doing so in potentially dangerous ways that alter their DNA.
Potato disease, what brung us Irish.
Right.
You give a Tater man's constitution. You can bet he's coming to pay old Joe to call.
Yes, well, nature's revenge could come in the form of disease
now you listen
or
to
allergens.
me, Taters. You gave a mind of a tater.
Joe, please, let me make my point.
You're tater-minded and you're looking to infiltrate old Joe's cabin, but you're too late.
No.
Now you get out,
All
or
right,
I'll
Joe.
slice your tater heart out and fry it up on my grill.
Okay, Joe.
Now, y'all stay close. You're going to have my jug band back here, and if Jasper don't let me strum the washboard, we're going to resort to cutting.
This is the Onion News Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Freedom Paradox. This is Matthew Taylor alongside the one true Niz. Giving a shout out to Severin Freeman, also the Freedom Paradox. He is not going to be joining us tonight. He's got some awesome stuff that he is out working on. Going to put some new content up later on this week, so you'll see him. You won't hear him tonight, but you'll definitely see his presence out there on social media. So, anyways, Niz, why don't you do the business section real quick?
This broadcast is covered by the BIPCOT No Government License. That means that you are free to use or rebroadcast portions or segments of this show as long as you are not an agent or advocate of the government. If you fail to heed this warning, you will be socially shamed. Hang on, I got the perfect. If you fail to heed this warning, then I will tell you this.
Yes. Yes. Perfect. Okay. So, before we jump into anything crazy and heavy, because we've got stuff tonight, we have stuff for you. But before we jump into anything, many things. But before we jump into anything too crazy, Niz, have you been paying attention to social media and YouTube and whatnot, and seeing what's going on with these Google Homes and Google and Amazon Alexas?
Actually, to be truthful, no, I have not. But before the show, Matt, you did show me, and it was crazy, man.
Yeah. So basically, if you sit there and you have one of these, I say to you, ask it what the CIA is. It'll tell you what the Central Intelligence Agency is, and then ask it if it's connected to the CIA. It'll shut off. It will not answer your question. It'll just shut off. Now, just about any other question you ask one of these devices, it'll either give you the answer that it's programmed to give you, or it'll tell you that it's not set up or programmed to respond to that yet. But it never just shuts off, except for this question right here. That's kind of weird.
Beyond weird, man.
Yeah.
That's beyond weird. I mean, listen, you can a little kid can get a hold of an Amazon Echo and can order 10,000 pounds of chocolate chip cookies from Amazon and get them delivered to your house on a next day delivery. But as soon as you ask the Amazon, right, and as soon as you ask the Amazon Echo if it's spying on you for the CIA or the NSA, boom, it shuts down.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy. That would be the reason why I'd unplug mine and sell it to somebody else.
I can tell you a little story here that goes back. This is way back in the days before the Amazon Echo or Google Home or any of this, really intense voice activation software is all around us. We had the original Microsoft Kinect for the OG Xbox, for the original Xbox. The Xbox, well, not the original, but the Xbox 360. Right. The Xbox 360. I'm going to use that for myself this time. But yeah, going back to the Xbox 360, and we got a Kinect, and we had it set up in the bedroom. And I had noticed some really weird. Man, we would go out and go like grocery shopping, and come home and like the TV would be on and the Xbox would be on. I'd be like, man, I know I shut that stuff off before I left, and it would be on. So it kept happening and kept happening and kept happening. And then one night, it just so happened that I was just starting to fall asleep. It was pretty late, maybe 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I was in that period of sleep where you're, that you're floating period where like you're not really asleep, but you're not awake. You're kind of like that in between state where if you hear
everybody
something
knows what you're
awake,
talking
you're right
about.
up. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was in that in between state, and I start hearing this noise. Bzzz, bzzz. I'm like, what the heck is that sound? And I open my eye and I see the little red light is on the Xbox Connect, and I'm looking at the Xbox and the little circle thing is lit up there to tell me that one of the controllers is connected. And this stuff was all turned off before we went to sleep. Yeah. We were laying in a totally dark room. So I picked up the TV remote and I turned the TV on, and the Kinect was on, and it was using the infrared function to scan the room while we're sleeping. I mean, dude, that's creepy. That's creepy AF, man. Yeah. So I mean, as soon as it did that, I was like, that's it. This is done. I unplugged that crap and it went right in the box.
Yeah.
Never to be seen again.
That kind of is really.
Right. And now I have an Xbox One, and I totally have a connected to my Xbox One.
Yeah, I don't. And you know what? If I did, I would disconnect that when I wasn't using it, like purposefully using it. I would definitely disconnect it.
Well,
but, hey, do you remember when those things first launched? They were also a little racist. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Man, the Kinect's been a funny thing, but it seems like it's gotten a little closer.
Well, now I have it connected to my Xbox One, and my Xbox One is integrated to my entire entertainment system. So when you walk into my house, just say, "Hey, Cortana, turn on," and like everything. Look, Cortana's open, and now I'm every computer that I have here in this room. But when you say that, like turn on, and my TV turns on, my surround sound turns on. Everything turns on, and I can control everything through the voice functions with the Kinect. So that's why I leave it turned on now. But it's not in the bedroom anymore, so it can't, take dirty pictures of me while I'm sleeping.
So, anyways, let's kind of dive into something let's dive into one of our first topics. We can kind of dip into it before we go to the break. Let's take a trip to South Korea, where Park Geun-hye was ousted yesterday morning from the office of presidency in South Korea. Now, the impeachment marks a historic moment in the country that only adopted democracy about 30 years ago. So this is, they've only had a government for 30 years. They've had a government before this. But they've only had a democratic government.
There you go. All right. You got to clarify that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They've only had a democratic government for the last 30 years, and it only took them 30 years to be like, so we put somebody really, really corrupt in power, which, is kind of silly, But the Constitutional Court unanimously upheld a parliamentary vote to impeach her on her role, or because of her role in a corruption and influence peddling scandal. Now, Park did not make any connections on or comments on this decision after it was handed down. She just kind of disappeared and went to the Blue House, which is basically the White House for the South Korean president. Now, from here on out, what is going to happen is in the next 60 days they're going to hold an election, but here's where everything gets interesting. You start taking a look at that whole region, right, Niz? And you look up north, and you've got your crazy little dictator midget up there. And
right. I mean, I could imagine like right now. Here's what I'm picturing. I'm picturing Kim Jong-un standing on a balcony facing the demilitarized zone, holding up the finger pyramid of evil and going.
Right, but there's so much more going on here, right? Okay, because you've got North Korea, which is currently in the midst of the whole Kim Jong-nam, debacle
Right,
that's
where he
going
assassinated
on.
his...
Where he
Well,
assassinated him. I mean, I'm going to talk about that for a while, but you know what? We're going to come back to this in just a few moments, so stick with us, and we're going to tell you exactly why this whole thing gets juicy. But, guys, it's me, it's Niz, it's LRN, it's Friday night, it is February 10th, 2017, and we're going to have...
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself.
Because there's other people around
it called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Freedom Paradox. This is Matthew Taylor sitting alongside the one true Niz. So before the break, Niz was making a joke. He was saying that Kim Jong-un was standing there on a balcony taking a look off towards the demilitarized zone, basically mentally picturing, Seoul, and just laughing, just wah ha 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 ha. He's got a good in to go towards South Korea, but there's so much more going on right now, because if you think about that whole region, you've got Kim Jong-un dealing with the assassination of his uncle, like we said, but then also recently firing 5 ballistic missiles. That's getting him in a lot of hot water with not just the United States, but the UN in general. Like, there's a lot of countries that are kind of worried about what the hell he's doing. But then also you got to look at China being upset about things going on in that region as well, because the U.S. deployed missile defense systems to South Korea. And also there's the whole uncertainty about China and the United States, our relationship right now, because of the government change.
Matt, because that also ties into, I mean, you have to look at the broad picture here. I mean, you've got North Korea, Russia, China, their allies, their buddies, their pals, they're holding hands. You've got the United States and South Korea, their pals. So this
but South Korea is surrounded right now.
yeah. I mean, without a doubt, and the fact that now there's this possible destabilization that's going to happen in their government because of this ouster. It definitely does not bode well for U.S. interests in the region. I mean,
right?
Without a doubt,
there's 60 days. There's 60 days until there's going to have their elections, but there's such a political vacuum inside this 60 days.